The last fight was finally here. The hero stood outside the Demon King's palace, knowing this was it. They felt the pressure, but there was no turning back now. Everyone was tense as they got ready to charge, hoping their plan would work against the huge walls and dark towers ahead. Monsters start coming out of the shadows, crawling and stomping their way into the open. There are tons of them, all different shapes and sizes, and every single one looks like something straight out of a nightmare. It's like the darkness itself opened up and let all the worst things through. Things weren't looking good on the front lines. Everyone seemed to be losing ground fast, barely hanging on. At this point, their last bit of hope was pinned on one hero still fighting inside. The hero spent the whole day inside the fortress, fighting on his own. Deep inside the spire, things are getting intense. The last showdown is happening, and everyone can feel the tension as it builds up. One of the hero's friends is down, totally worn out and unable to get back up. Even when she's close to passing out, she still doesn't give up. No matter how rough things get, something inside her just won't let her stop fighting. She watches as her teammate steps up in front of the throne, ready to face whatever comes next. The Demon King looked down at Ash, grinning like he already won. He seemed to really enjoy seeing Ash struggle, acting like there was no way the hero could come back from this. Ash wasn't done yet. He pulled himself up, even though he was tired and hurting, ready to take on Demon King one more time. Demon King flashes a confident grin, looking like he knows he's about to finish things for good. Ash looks back, his eyes steady and determined, the last lines from the artist showing just how serious he is. This final chapter is something put together. Things couldn't have gone any worse for him today. Everything just kept piling up, and by the end of it, he was totally drained. His boss lets him go on the spot after the doesn't do well. Alone in the empty office, he decides he's going to make something they'll actually remember. He sits down and puts all his anger and energy into drawing one last chapter, determined to make it his best work. Outside, the storm is going wild, rain slamming against the windows and wind howling through the cracks. It's kind of like what he's dealing with inside, everything messy and impossible to ignore. Even the sky looks like it's getting involved with his art now. Something weird starts buzzing through the room, making the lights above flicker and spark. Out of nowhere, the lights go off and everything around him turns pitch black. He just stands there, thinking nothing's going his way, like even the universe has it out for him. Suddenly, his drawing tablet lights up, filling the whole desk with a bright glow. He just stands there, frozen, not really believing what he's looking at. He gets up, his eyes locked on the weird light coming from his desk. He stretches out his hand, still trying to figure out how any of this could actually happen. As soon as his fingers brush the tablet, purple energy burst out, swirling fast and wild. The energy yanks him in fast, and no one can hear him over the roaring noise. He calls out, hoping someone will hear him, but the place is empty and quiet. No one's around to notice. From outside, a sudden, blinding flash lights up everything, making it impossible to ignore what just happened. The room cleared out fast, leaving only his tablet behind on the desk. All the leftover energy in the air pulled itself into one tiny spot of light, then faded away until there was nothing but darkness. He gets yanked right out of his world and thrown into some kind of black, endless space. Suddenly, a message pops up in front of him, saying he's just entered his own story. He freezes, staring at his hands as they start to light up. His heart pounds faster, and he can't believe what's happening. The energy takes over his whole body, and it hurts so much it's like fire tearing through him. The fire burns so bright, it's impossible to see his face. His screams bounce around in the emptiness, fading into the darkness. After one last, super bright flash, the system let him know the transfer was finally done. His story kicks off with him crashing down from the sky, looking like a fireball. As he falls, the site of the continent comes into view, the world he built himself. He's just about to walk straight into the chaos he started himself. On the ground, a single soldier looks up at the sky, his face streaked with tears. He lifts his hand, reaching toward the clouds, desperate for someone to notice him or maybe for help from above. The world around him feels heavy, but in that moment all he can do is look up and hope someone's watching. Everyone's eyes are glued to the sky as a fiery meteor streaks down, aiming straight for the Demon King's fortress. Deep inside the falling meteor, a man's face is twisted in silent terror as he hurtles toward the ground. No one can hear him, but his fear is real, trapped inside the crashing rock as it speeds through the sky. He crashes down, and suddenly everything lights up with a huge burst. The ground shakes, and for a second it's almost too bright to see anything. It's like the whole world just hit pause, caught in that blinding blast. The Demon King's tower used to stand tall, showing off his power to everyone. But now, the whole thing is falling apart, stones crashing down and the place looking like it's been abandoned for ages. When the dust finally starts to clear, one guy slowly gets up from the wreckage, looking a little beat up but still standing. Pushed himself up, still half hoping he'd wake up and realize none of this was real. He glanced around, confused and trying to make sense of what was happening, not sure if things were about to get better or worse. He stands there, totally thrown off, trying to convince himself this has to be a dream, like he somehow landed right in the middle of his own story. He barely has time to think about what just happened before a warrior steps up, snapping him back to reality. He's suddenly standing right in front of Ash, the hero he just brought to life a few minutes earlier. He suddenly understands that he's not just part of the story. He's actually one of the characters living inside it. It's hard to shake off the heaviness in the air. Everything looks and feels way too real to be just a dream. Over the broken ground, Demon King holds his cursed blade even. He looks at the newcomer and barely gives him a thought, figuring this guy is just another nobody who won't last long. Spaces out for a bit, lost in his own thoughts, but then the hero's friend snaps him back to reality. She yells for him to move, not even noticing how he is. Suddenly, it clicks for him. He realizes he's standing right in the scene he'd been sketching earlier. Just as things start to make sense for him, the Demon King steps in and takes action, snapping him right back into the chaos. Charges ahead, moving fast with purple energy swirling around him. He looks totally focused, eyes locked on his target, and you can tell he's not holding back. The guy just yells out, desperate to make the villain understand that he's actually the one who made him. The Demon King's attack was already happening. With just one step, he cracked the ground beneath him. Right before the hit connects, someone in red armor suddenly steps in and blocks it. Stands frozen, his eyes wide as he watches his hero step in front of him, blocking the attack. He can't move or do anything to help. He just stands there helpless as everything happens right in front of him. Ash gets hit straight on by the Demon King's cursed blade. The attack is brutal, knocking the wind out of him and leaving him barely holding on. Pain shoots through his body, but he grits his teeth, trying not to go down. Shouts out his name, her voice cracking with pain and confusion. The hero gets knocked back hard, sent flying through the air because the hit is just way too strong for him to handle. Stands tall, looking down at the guy he just beat. He hardly even looks tired, like taking down his opponent was no big deal. The whole scene just shows how strong he really is. They hurry over to Ash, but it's clear things aren't looking good. Ash is slipping away, and there's not much anyone can do. Stared, totally thrown off. Everything he planned had just crashed and burned, and now he just wanted answers. Ash didn't really think about what he was doing. His body just reacted, stepping in to shield someone without a second thought. As everything starts to fade, Ash catches sight of the guy he was meant to help. Even with everything closing in, that thought sticks with him. Right before he passed away, he left everything up to him, trusting him to handle whatever came next. Just stands there frozen. He wants to say his hero's name, but the words get stuck and nothing comes out. He can't take his eyes off the scene in front of him. Just as he starts to process what's happening, a bunch of system alerts pop up and pull him back to reality. After the hero died, the system let him know that the story's ratings had crashed. This was a major screw-up. The whole world was on the verge of ending, like someone was about to pull the plug on everything. Out of nowhere, the sky splits open, and the ground starts breaking apart. Everything around seems to come undone, like the world itself is falling apart right in front of him. Sat there weighed down by sadness, when suddenly a cold, creepy voice cut through the silence. It tried to offer comfort, but the words only made everything worse. Looked over the scene, certain that their deaths would only help push him closer to taking control. In his mind, every loss on their side was just another step toward his own rise to power. Doesn't back down. Even after everything, she stands her ground and stares right at the Demon King, refusing to give in. Just rolls his eyes at what she said, remembering all the times people used to say he wasn't good enough. Sue starts to freak out, knowing this really isn't the best moment to try and say something brave or cool. With the hero out of the picture, just stands there, totally sure he's already won. Doesn't back down. She stands her ground and sticks her sword into the dirt, making it clear she's not giving up. She taps into her own strength, determined to protect her kingdom no matter what. The Demon King barely even reacts, just brushing her off like she doesn't matter at all. He clearly sees her as nothing but someone getting in the way. He moves fast and knocks her away like she's nothing, barely even noticing she was there. She slammed into the wall, hitting it so hard that chunks of stone broke off and scattered around her. She runs out of energy and drops to the cold floor, unable to keep herself up any longer. Starts going off about his plan, taking his time like villains always do. He seems to enjoy having everyone's attention while he explains what he's about to do. The heroes were down, all of them out of the fight. Now locked his gaze on the only guy still standing. Stands completely still, unable to move. Fear locks up his whole body. He can't even think about running or fighting back. He's just stuck there, every muscle tense, hoping things won't get worse. He remembers his old, boring life, which felt completely safe compared to what he's dealing with now. He starts to wonder why he's even scared in the first place, realizing that everything happening now is actually something he made himself. His creation didn't even hesitate, lifting that cursed sword, ready to finish things for good. He yells, throwing his arm up without thinking, trying to protect himself even though he knows it won't help. He tenses up, ready for a hit that seems like it's going to wreck him completely. Even though he's hurting pretty bad, there's a quick look of confusion on his face. He glances up, eyes wide, barely believing what just happened. He'd actually dodged the attack, even though it all happened so fast. The broken chunk missing from his gauntlet made it clear he barely made it out of that one. He screams, his voice breaking as everything hits him at once. The truth of what's happening finally sinks in, and fear takes over. Got a tight hold on him, making fun of how things turned out. Could tell right away that the pain wasn't just in his head, it was happening for real. From the sidelines, watches everything unfold, hoping things work out for his friend. He was out, there was nothing left. When the blade snaps and falls apart, panic hits him hard. He'd been hanging on to hope, but now, with nothing left to fight with, fear takes over. He thinks about how much his life sucks. Nothing really works out for him in the real world, and now things aren't any better here. It's like he can't catch a break, no matter where he ends up. He remembers exactly who he is. He's not some hero or a soldier, just a regular guy with a drawing tablet in his hands. He lets out one last loud yell, making it clear to everyone that he's the one in charge now. Suddenly, it was like something inside him snapped. Power rushed out of him, wild and impossible to control, shaking everything around. The room felt different, almost charged, as if everyone could sense how intense things had just gotten. The Demon King gets knocked backward, his last attack not even coming close. Sway's eyes snapped open wide. For a second, it was like his brain couldn't catch up with what he'd just seen. He just froze, completely thrown off. He looks down at his hands, totally confused about how he's even still breathing. But then he notices something strange. Body is starting to fade, like he's slowly disappearing right in front of him. The Demon King holds his sword, but before he can react, it just fades away right in his hand, disappearing into thin air. Can't accept any of this. His mind races, trying to figure out what's going on. There's no way he's just something made up. At least, that's what he keeps telling himself. He stands there, stubborn and confused, refusing to let the idea sink in. He yells, not wanting to believe what's happening. Powers like this just aren't supposed to exist in his world, and he can't wrap his head around it. With one last shout, the Demon King disappears completely, wiped out like he was never even there. He just stands there, staring at the screen, not really believing what he's done. By accident, he's deleted his own final boss. Just when he starts to feel like he's finally won, everything falls apart. Suddenly screams, and the world around them seems to break into pieces. Eyes go wide as she watches her own hands start to break apart, tiny sparks of light flickering where her skin used to be. She tries to hold herself together, but it's no use. The light spreads fast, swallowing her up, and there's nothing she can do to stop it. Tears slid down her cheeks as she looked around, hoping someone would notice her and help. Stands frozen, her voice breaking as she yells out, but there's nothing she can do except watch everything happen. Helpless, fear hits her hard as she sees what's going on right in front of her. He stretches out his hand, even though everything around him is falling apart, and there's nothing he can actually do to stop it. He drops to his knees, desperate to understand why everything around him is falling apart. He looks over and spots Ash, his hero, starting to disappear too. Watching Ash fade away hits him hard, making the whole situation feel even more unreal. The hero disappeared in an instant, leaving nothing behind but an empty spot on the cold stone floor. The Demon King's fortress starts falling apart, breaking down bit by bit until there's nothing left. Every wall and tower just disappears, like it never existed in the first place. He stared at the screen as a system message popped up, but it didn't really clear anything up for him. Turns out, after his big speech about being a creator god, the show's ratings crashed. The whole system ended up getting wiped because of it. While everything around him started falling apart, looked around, trying to figure out what he was supposed to do next. He wanted answers, but all he could see was chaos. He stood there, lost in the confusion, wondering how he was even supposed to get out of there safely. The system popped up a single button that glowed on his screen. It had the label Control+Q. He spots E. He waits, hoping something will happen, but everything just stays the same. His plan to get out isn't working at all. The system checks everything out and finds a pretty big problem with his way out. He suddenly realizes something terrible. He was already dead before he even showed up in this place. He tries to make sense of what's happening, but then something weird starts going on. His body slowly breaks apart, turning into tiny bits of light that float away. He wasn't just someone passing through. He belonged there, right in the middle of everything. But suddenly all of it, the world he knew, was starting to disappear, like someone was erasing the story he was living in. Reality hits him hard. He's stuck in this place, and everything around him is falling apart. He yells out, not really expecting an answer, just trying to figure out what happens next if he's erased. The system spells out what's going to happen to him, switching through a bunch of different languages, just to make sure he really gets it. He punches the cracked ground, desperate to find any way to stop everything from falling apart. But there's still one last shot from the system, the universal undo command. He tries to wrap his head around it. This isn't just some random offer. It's a chance to change everything, not just how the story goes, but where his own life is headed. The offer on the table isn't complicated, but it's huge. It's not every day you get a shot at changing everything about your future. He was still trying to process everything when he turned to the system, wanting to know if he'd heard that crazy offer right. He checks the system and sees a timer pop up. He's got just 3 minutes left before his soul gets wiped out for good. The only way out is to hit reset completely. They're sending him all the way back to 2022, so he can start over and draw the story again from the very beginning. He figures out that whenever he redraws his comic, things in real life actually change, like he's editing the past for real. His eyes lit up when he finally realized just how big this offer really was. He remembers how embarrassing it was when he got fired because his flop. Getting fired set off everything: the storm, the crazy power surge, and in the end, his own death. The system backs up what he was thinking. If he makes the story better, he actually gets another shot at life. The system throws out an escape option, but there's some pretty scary strings attached. It was obvious to everyone that this wasn't going to be simple. You could just tell things were about to get tough. The guy wonders to himself how he's even supposed to check the ratings in this place. It's easy to say what he has to do, but actually doing it is another thing. He knows he has to keep going and find out how this all ends, even if it's tough. Now he's faced with the big decision: hit reset on everything and get another shot at it all. Knew everything was on the line for him. He took a deep breath, steadied himself, and made his decision. But there's a twist in how the system works. He only gets 3 chances to reset, and those resets depend on how many people hit the like button on his story. The timer started ticking down, just 5 seconds left before everything would be wiped out. He goes for the button, thinking about how grateful he is to the fans who got him here. Time was running out. On the screen, the reset button lit up, almost begging to be pressed. With just a second left on the clock, something shifted in his eyes. Suddenly, he looked focused, like he finally knew exactly what he had to do. He hits the button, and for a moment, everything just stops. It's like time freezes and even the air goes still, as if the whole world is waiting to see what's going to happen next. The system pops up with messages, letting him know everything's starting over. The world goes back to normal, and all his scores get wiped clean. A loading screen popped up, letting him know that things were about to start over for him. This was the moment when his second shot at things was about to begin. The progress bar inched forward on the screen, almost done. He watched, knowing that once it was full, he'd be thrown right back into a world that needed him. This time, he'd have to step up and figure out how to fix things. The system finished its job, pulling him straight into this new world. The reset works, but something's off. The system starts acting weird, and the hero's name keeps flickering across the screen. It's not supposed to do that, so he knows something's up. Woke up suddenly, his heart racing. Someone was calling his name, but he had no idea where he was. The place felt off, and hearing his own name in this weird spot made everything feel even stranger. Suddenly, a harsh memory snaps into his mind, almost like something he would sketched out on his own. He glances down and realizes he's stuck in chains, locked up like a prisoner. Fear hits him as he tries to figure out how he ended up in this mess. The old man let out a quiet sigh, finally able to relax after all the tension. He'd been on edge, thinking about what the slave owner might do next, but now he seemed a little less tense. He spots the guy and realizes it's Uncle Ben, someone from his own story who never really had a big role. He's stuck working in the magic ore mines, starting out his story as a slave, just like Ash did. Just as things start to make sense for him, the slave owner steps in, dressed in all purple. Uncle Ben starts talking, trying to make things clear, but just isn't having it. He tunes out, clearly not interested in hearing what Ben has to say right now. Pretends like he gets it, but there's this cold grin on his face. He pretends to stay calm, but then suddenly snaps, swinging a chain so fast it's hard to see. Uncle Ben hits the ground hard while the guards just stand there, totally unfazed. The slave owner looked down at the guy, noticing he was out cold. This time, the owner actually had a real excuse for the kid to be knocked out, and he made sure everyone around knew it, almost like he was showing off. Sue just stood there, frozen, watching as everything started to fall apart. He couldn't do anything but panic as his own story slipped out of his control. It was like watching a train wreck. He knew what was coming, but he was powerless to change it. Helplessness hit him hard, and all he could do was hope things wouldn't get worse. Looked over at him, his eyes cold and serious. Without saying a word, let him know what the new punishment was going to be. He tells them they've got 2 choices: either row twice as hard, or risk getting their hands ripped off by whatever's out there in the dark. Nods, knowing he doesn't really have any other options. Deep down, he gets that things could go wrong at any moment, and he's not sure he'll make it out of this. He takes the pickaxe, its weight hitting him as he realizes this is his life now. The cold metal in his hands makes everything feel real. He got started on his work, kind of annoyed at how he'd ended up stuck doing exactly what he made. He grabs a piece of bread and bites into it. It's dry and kind of hard, but it's all he gets now that he's stuck living as a slave in the place he used to call home. Uncle Ben looked tired as he admitted he'd caused some problems for, even though he was the reason things got messy. Just waved it off and told him to relax. He didn't want his uncle stressing out about it. He quickly notices that his body, used to just drawing and sitting around, isn't built for this kind of tough work. He fights through the pain, his mind focused on one thing. He needs to know where Ash is. Nothing else matters right now. Uncle Ben looked lost. He had no clue who that was. Just stands there not sure what to do. The guy who was meant to look after the hero has no clue the hero's even around. A system message popped up, and that's when it hit. Ash was gone. Not just missing, but like he never existed in the story at all. Now the system decided to pick a new main character, and it chose. His mind spins, and everything around him feels messed up as he tries to take in what just happened. He starts to realize he's stuck, and it hits him that if people find out he's the creator, everything in this world could fall apart just like before. Uncle Ben stands off to the side, watching the boy closely. He can't help but worry that something's seriously wrong with him. Stands there, focused on something no one else can see. On his screen, a message pops up, but it's just for him. The system fires back, saying it can do more than just listen. It can actually see his voice. He wonders if his words are actually popping up on the screen, like the speech bubbles you see in a webtoon. The system gives the green light, and that's when he finally gets it. This nightmare is way more complicated than he thought. He wanted to see what being the main character was all about, so he tried using his new powers for the first time. The magic ore around him started to spark and fizz, looking like it could burst at any second. Out of nowhere, the crystals burst with a bright, wild light that fills the whole space. The energy is so intense, it's almost impossible to look at, and everything around gets swallowed up in the blast. Uncle Ben just stands there, eyes wide, not really sure how to react. Today's already thrown him some curveballs, and things just keep getting stranger. Stands there looking around at what just happened. He can't really believe what he's done. For a moment, he just stares at his own hands, surprised by the power he didn't know he had. He spots the place right away. It's the same burrow where Ash was supposed to wake up his power. He starts to understand that what he did messed with the timeline, and now the event is happening sooner than it should have. Right then, the system popped up with its usual alert, kind of like a neighborhood announcement that everyone's used to seeing. He realizes that every decision he makes in the story is going to affect its ratings. He gets it, everything's on the line right now. As the new main character, this first chapter means everything. He realizes the opening has to grab everyone's attention, way more than the first version ever could. He let Uncle Ben know he was heading out for a bit, hoping the old guy would have his back if anyone asked where he went. Uncle Ben started to freak out, clearly not wanting him to do anything dumb while they were stuck in this mess. You could see the worry all over his face, hoping things wouldn't get any worse. Stands firm. He makes it clear through his actions that if he doesn't come back, then he's gone for good. There's no room for doubt. If he pulls this off, he promises himself that his family won't have to go back to mining ever again. Uncle Ben just stares at him, totally freaked out by how serious he suddenly looks. It's like he can't believe what he's seeing, his nephew acting this bold out of nowhere. Uncle Ben's mind races, not sure if his nephew's lost it or if something big is about to go down. Doesn't stop to think. He just leaps straight into the chasm. He falls straight down into the darkness, while Uncle Ben just stands there, frozen and not sure what to do. The system flashes another warning at him, making it clear that things are serious. If he doesn't get his ratings up, it's game over for real. But this guy isn't scared at all. Instead, he's actually pumped about going up against something tough. Somewhere out in a pitch-black emptiness, a guy in armor just drifts, not moving at all. It's Ash, the hero everyone thought was gone for good. Now he's just floating in this endless darkness, his body stuck between nowhere and nothing. He slowly starts to wake up, his mind getting a little clearer as he moves. Down in the mines, makes his way into a hidden cavern packed with crystals, a place everyone else avoids. He looks into a twisting tunnel that pulls everything toward a strange light way down at the end. He falls through a spinning tunnel, everything around him glowing with purple light and buzzing with energy. He lands hard, but instead of hitting the ground, he sinks into something weird and squishy. The stuff wraps around him, holding him up and keeping him from falling any further. He notices the slime has him trapped, the same one that was supposed to help Ash out in the original story. The slime slowly pulls him further down into the caverns, moving past walls covered with sharp, glittering crystals. The deeper he goes, the darker and colder it gets, and the sound of his own breathing is the only thing he can hear. After crawling through the creature, he finally gets spat out onto the cold, wet cave floor. The whole trip leaves him feeling grossed out and relieved to be free again. He glances to the side and notices his pickaxe lying nearby. Somehow it ended up down there with him. He figures the explosion from earlier must have knocked it down into the chasm. He glanced around and realized this place matched exactly how he described it before. The cavern stretched out in front of him, packed with glowing chunks of magic ore. This stuff was important. Everyone used it to keep magical gadgets and gear running. In his old world, this stuff was as important as oil, basically the thing that kept everything running, from huge ships to entire cities. This stuff is what everyone uses for magic and money. It's also what the nobles show off to prove they're powerful. In only a month, Demon King was set to come back and take over the world. Right now, it's just some dude dealing with a sore back, hanging out in this weirdly bright cave. He wasn't alone in the dark, even if he wished he was. He spots them right away. This is how things are meant to happen. The scavengers showed up ready to cause trouble. For the first time, things got serious. They rushed in, looking like they meant business, and it was clear they weren't messing around. They slam into the ground hard, breaking the stone beneath them. Their target manages to dodge just in time. He remembers coming up with this part of the story. Ash was meant to take them out himself, no weapons, just his own hands. He's just a regular guy who draws comics, not someone who jumps into battles. Staring at the mess in front of him, he gets it. Stepping in now would be basically signing up for trouble he can't handle. He doesn't waste a second. His instincts kick in and he bolts, not looking back, just focused on getting away as fast as he can. The beast charges at him fast, claws slashing through the air. He tries to dodge, but he's just a little too slow. The monster's claws catch him, tearing into his back. He takes the hit hard and ends up rolling across the rocky ground, scraping up dust and gravel as he tries to catch himself. He clenches his jaw, annoyed with himself. The pain hits hard, making him remember how much stronger he wishes he was. He notices right away that he messed up. These creatures are way quicker than he remembered when he first made them up. The pack moved closer, their eyes shining in the dark, making it clear things were about to get really bad. Even though he's trapped, there's still a stubborn look in his eyes, like he refuses to back down. He picks up his pickaxe, gripping it than usual. It's just a tool, but right now, it's all he has to defend himself. The beasts pull back, their instincts kicking in as they notice something suddenly change around them. He's got an edge. They don't realize every monster out there has a weak spot, but he does. He yells out loud and sprints straight at the group of monsters, not slowing down for a second. The beast charges straight at him, focused on ripping him apart. He moves fast, dodging and twisting as the claws swipe dangerously close. His heart pounds, and every second feels like it could be the last. He keeps his eyes sharp, focused on staying just out of reach, not letting the fear slow him down. At first he's scared, but then his face changes. The fear fades and his eyes turn sharp and focused. He looks like he's already planning his next move, not letting anything rattle him. The creatures freeze for a second. Something feels off to them, and even though they usually just act on impulse, they can tell something isn't right. Their bodies tense up, ready for whatever's about to happen. Suddenly everything in the cavern goes quiet. The wild noise just stops, leaving the space still like nothing ever happened. Sway stands by himself, the only one left after the fight. Everyone else is gone, and he's just there, trying to catch his breath and take in what just happened. The place around him is quiet now, but it still feels heavy, like the aftermath of something serious. Sway doesn't move much. He just stands there, staring at the ground, not really sure what to do next. He stops for a second, breathing hard, and thinks back to the big mistake he made when he was working on their design. The hunger was so intense that they didn't care about anything else. They'd do whatever it took for just one bite, even if it meant putting themselves in real danger. His fast reaction pays off right away when the system notification pops up, just like he hoped it would. After the system hands over a character sheet, he can't help but get excited. Finally, he has some stat points to mess around with, and the possibilities start running through his mind. His excitement drops fast when he notices his strength stat sitting at -1. Even the system calls him out, flashing his weak stats right in his face, and making it clear he's stuck with a bottom-tier setup. Suddenly, messages started popping up one after another, while the system kicked into some kind of super-fast upgrade. The updated interface looked really smooth, catching his attention right away. He messed around with it for a second, then realized he could just use his voice to assign his points. He notices right away that this system is way more advanced than the one he made for Ash. He doesn't even think twice, and just puts 4 out of his 9 points straight into strength. As soon as he picks it up, the change hits him. The pickaxe, which usually drags his arms down, suddenly feels super light, almost like he's just holding a pen. He adds 4 more points to his agility, getting ready for the next round. With his new speed, he's sure the scavengers can't keep up with him now. He spends his final point on mana, knowing it's going to be important later on. Just like that, the single point sparks something inside him. Suddenly, he can sense a new kind of power flowing through his body, something he never thought he had. One moment, he was just an ordinary guy, but now, it's like the world opened up and gave him a shot at something bigger. His stats went up, so he opened up the system's backpack and got ready to start mining. He gets started, focused and determined to clear out every crystal in the cavern. With his new strength, he goes all out, landing hit after hit on the ore. The system's auto-collect started up, pulling in a huge amount of ore in just a few seconds. After digging non-stop, he finally stops to breathe, sweat running down his face and hands shaking a little from how hard he's been working. He's already stacked up 25 tons of ore, which is way more than his hero ever managed. He stands there with a small, confident smirk on his face. Even now, he's already changing the game, ready to take control in his own way. He soon notices that the light he was chasing isn't actually coming from the ore he just dug up. He keeps moving toward the light, but soon something weird stops him. There's this shining wall right in front of him, blocking the way. It looks almost unreal, like something out of a game, and he can't see what's on the other side. The system suddenly pops up a message, explaining that the barrier actually came from him, from when he was still in the real world. He looks at the drawing in front of him, but nothing about it rings a bell. Still, since he's the one who made it, he knows he can just erase it if he wants. The spell breaks apart, leaving a clear way into the shadows ahead. He walks in and finds himself standing in a boring old cave. There's nothing special here, just empty space and cold rock. Out of nowhere, something cold sweeps over him, making the hairs on his neck stand straight up. A huge monster steps out from the darkness, covered in sharp claws and massive fangs. Spots the Underworld King right away. It's a boss he made himself but ended up deleting since it was way too strong. He finds out the hard way that the recycle bin isn't as helpful as he thought. In this world, once you lose something in there, it's pretty much gone for good. As if his day wasn't already tough, the system throws another curveball at him, a brand new quest that looks completely impossible. He looks up at the beast, his mind racing. This wasn't supposed to happen. He never planned to face something like this, and now he's stuck, facing off against an enemy he never wanted. But the system pops up a warning, letting him know that if he quits now, the story's ratings will tank. It's pretty clear he doesn't really have any other option. The Underworld King roared so loud it felt like the whole place was shaking. Its eyes glowed with this wild energy, making it clear just how dangerous it was. The creature shoots forward so fast, it barely makes sense. Just the force from its movement blasts off his feet and throws him through the air. Right when the beast is about to attack, the guy lifts his head from the dirt. Thoughts race through his mind as he tries to figure out his next move. Right then, fear hit him hard, but something old surfaced in his mind. A memory from way back, something he hadn't thought about in ages. He suddenly remembers sitting at his desk, checking out the same monster that's now coming after him. He thinks back to when he drew that creature, taking his time to get every detail right. He wanted it to look strong but quick, something that could handle anything. He remembers that its deadliest move is a powerful beam that shoots straight out from the horn on its head. Right then, one clear thought runs through his head. He can't stand the guy he used to be, not even a little. The beast's horn started to shine with a deep red light that made everyone uneasy. The thing lets out a massive blast, pure energy ripping through everything in its path. The whole cavern heats up in an instant, so much that the rocks actually start to melt. After everything went down, the Underworld King ended up standing there, surrounded by flames. The fire lit up the whole area, making the place look wild, but he stayed right in the middle of it all, not moving an inch. The ground looks rough, covered in broken rocks and patches of burning ash. Somehow manages to stay on his feet, struggling to catch his breath while flames rage all around him. The beast towers above him, its eyes glowing in the dark. Anyone could tell it was out for blood. Suddenly, the giant creature's massive hand reached down and grabbed him right off the burnt ground. The monster pulls him in, checking him out with this cold, mean stare. He yells out when the creature grabs him even harder, its hold rough and unrelenting. This villain doesn't mess around. It gets straight to business with brute force. He can barely handle it. The pressure is so heavy that his bones start to crack, pain shooting through him with every second. He notices the beast actually seems to be having fun, almost like it's getting payback for being left alone by the one who made it. Pain and fear hit him all at once, leaving him with nothing but a scream. Everything he's done and lived through races through his mind in a blur, like old memories playing on fast forward. He was out of options and just wanted another chance. With nothing left to lose, he turned to the system, hoping for a reset that might fix everything. The system shuts him down. Looks like even resetting the universe comes with a price tag. The monster's huge hand came down, aiming straight for him. It was so big, and it blocked out everything else, making it feel like the whole world had shrunk to just that one moment. He knew he had to move or it would be over. Just like that, everything could end. He stares, frozen, as the giant fingers move closer, knowing there's no easy way out of this. He feels pretty down about how weak he is, like a hero stuck with nothing. No cool equipment, no friends to help out. Just when he's about to quit, something pops up on his screen, an inventory menu he's never seen before. He thinks back to the 25 tons of magic ore he managed to dig up, knowing he still has all that left to use. He let out a desperate yell, pushing the system to turn everything in his inventory into weapons. The system kicked in, and suddenly, a single crystal popped up right in front of the massive beast. The system message popped up, letting him know the command worked, and then a huge pile of ore started spilling out of his inventory. Out of nowhere, the Underworld King gets hit by a wild storm of magic crystals, burying him on the spot. The chaos is intense, and for a second, it looks like even someone as tough as him might not make it out. The blast hit hard, breaking him loose. He lost his grip and dropped straight down into the darkness below. He suddenly notices that his genius idea forgot one important thing. He never thought about what would happen if he actually started falling straight down. There's nothing left to break his fall, so he tightens up, using whatever small bit of agility he's got, hoping he can land without wiping out. He lands hard on a huge crystal, smashing it apart. Shards fly everywhere, scattering across the ground. He grabs his pickaxe and starts moving through the mess, making it look easy. The whole cave turns into his own zone, tone, like he's just having fun with it. The system let him know the transfer was done, and now he stood there with a ton of new power, like he was on top of the world. He glances up, waiting to see if his plan did the trick. The system stays quiet, and that silence is starting to mess with his head. The Underworld King bursts out from the rubble, looking even angrier than before. The truth finally hits him. He's just ticked off someone way above his level, and now that person is seriously mad. The beast's eyes glare with pure anger, locked right onto him. There's no doubt, if this thing catches him, it's going to hurt. While all this was going on, something way more real was happening underground. Down in the mines, there was a person causing trouble. A different kind of monster, not the kind from scary stories, but the kind people actually had to deal with. Uncle Ben stands tied to a post, stuck right in front of the slave owner, who's looking at him with nothing but anger. Thinking he's doing something generous in his own messed up way, decides to give up location. He figures this will make things end quickly for her. The old man stands his ground. He knows this is the boy's only shot at getting home, and he's not about to let him down. No matter what, he's sticking to his decision. He looks his captor dead in the eye and spits right at him, not backing down even for a second. The slave owner finally loses his cool. On the surface, he still looks calm, but deep down, he's really angry, barely holding it together. Sets his hand on the old man's chest, and it's clear he isn't planning anything good. He sends out a wave of purple lightning, using it to pressure his opponent for answers. Uncle Ben can't take the pain anymore. It gets to him, and he finally gives in, yelling that he'll spill everything. The slave owner leans in close, a cruel smirk on his face. He clearly wants answers and isn't hiding just how much he enjoys having control. The pressure is on, and it's obvious he expects the details now. With his last bit of strength, Uncle Ben manages to get in one last jab, throwing out a brutal comment about his captor's hair. Even on his way out, he can't help but roast the guy, leaving everyone in the room caught off guard. The insult lands, and his face twists with anger. He clenches his fist, letting his anger take over. It starts to glow, and he aims it at the old man, set on finishing things once and for all. A blast of purple energy came crashing down, packed with raw anger that you could almost feel in the air. His eyes show zero mercy, just that icy look that means someone's about to get hurt. Uncle Ben stands there, unable to do anything else. He wants to say something, but the words never come. As everything comes to an end, he just watches, silent. The attack hangs in the air, but it never hits its mark. Right at the last possible moment, Yen jumps in, blocking the strike just in time. Watches, smirking as the boy heads straight back into trouble, almost like he's walking right into a trap and doesn't even know it. He brings up what'll happen if they get caught, making remember the punishment waiting for them, something brutal that could finish them both. He doesn't get nervous at all. Instead, he's just thinking back to all the times his readers trashed this guy online. He remembers seeing people online call cringy, and now he's beginning to understand what they meant. Glance down at the ropes around his wrists. That sudden burst of light had definitely caught him off guard. Just stands there frozen as his ultimate move falls flat. He can't believe it didn't work. For a second, he's not sure what to do or even how to react. After the boss fight, he started to think maybe he was stronger than he thought. He thinks back to the insane strength the Underworld King had when they fought. Just remembering it sends a shiver down his spine. Even though he won, he can't help but remember how close he was to losing. Suddenly, energy rushes through him, stronger than anything he's felt before. He grabs the magical chains and, without holding back, breaks them apart with his hands, surprising even himself. He thinks back to how desperate he was, using up every single crystal just to stay alive. Right when everything seemed pointless, something clicked in his mind. The Underworld King rushed forward, looking set to end things once and for all. The creature's fist slammed down, smashing the cavern floor and sending cracks everywhere. The ground shook hard, and dust shot up into the air, making it hard to see. Anyone standing nearby would felt the impact right through their shoes, maybe even stumbling back as the rocks around them started to fall apart. Got caught in the blast and went flying, totally out of control, like someone tossed him aside. There wasn't much he could do. He just tumbled through the air, powerless against the force that hit him. He realized he was out of options, and started to wonder if maybe he was missing something about himself, like there could be something he hadn't tried yet. Right when things couldn't get any worse, the system pops up and tries to show him his stats. He stares at the screen, and suddenly an idea pops into his head. It's risky, probably not the move, but he can't shake it off. The more he thinks about it, the more it starts to make sense to him. The beast towers above him, casting a huge shadow. He glances around, heart pounding, but then his eyes land on some numbers. Suddenly it clicks. Those numbers hold the answer he needs to stay alive. He takes one last shot, throwing himself straight into danger without holding back. He sprinted right up the monster's arm, looking small compared to the huge, angry creature towering over him. He remembers how he set up his stats, especially that one important point he put into magic. In his world, using magic is pretty simple. You just need some power and the right words to make it work. Since he's the author, he actually remembers every single spell without even trying. He thinks back to a spell he knows, one that just needs the tiniest bit of magic to start ignition. The beast started building up its strength again, getting ready to launch another massive attack. The creature's horn sparked with energy again, just like the last time when it almost blasted him out of existence. Didn't wait around. He stepped up and stuck his pickaxe into the ground, locking it in place. From his new spot, he gets ready to try one last thing, hoping it'll work. He lets out a loud yell and charges straight at the beast, not holding back. He's made up his mind. This fight is going to end, no matter what happens. He focused, saying the words he'd memorized. All his magic, just a little bit, went straight into the crystal in his hand. One crystal dropped down and hit the huge pile of ore underneath. As soon as it touched, it set off a reaction that started spreading through all the other rocks. His plan is wild and, honestly, kind of over the top. He wants to set off all 25 tons at the same time, not caring about how much gets wasted. The cavern suddenly explodes with raw energy, shaking everything around. The underworld king gets caught right in the middle of it, swallowed up by the blast. The noise is so intense, it's impossible to hear anything over the chaos. Just like that, the system flashes the message, quest complete. It's almost unreal, but there it is, right on the screen. Back in the present, he looks at where he is now and notices he's already gone way past what his hero ever did. With his new power, he gets that someone like isn't really a problem for him anymore. He moves so fast it's hard to keep track, his eyes lighting up with this new energy inside him. Before has a chance to do anything, suddenly grabs his hand and bends it back fast. The slave owner is doubled over, clutching at his wounds. He's hurting too much to say anything that makes sense, and whatever threats he tries to throw out just fade away as he struggles to handle the pain. His anger doesn't last long. Someone's fist comes straight at his face, stopping him cold. The punch lands hard, knocking the villain backward and launching him through the air. Crashes hard into the far wall, hitting it with enough force to break the stone around him. Dust and bits of rock fall to the ground as he slides down, trying to catch his breath. He interrupts the villain, pointing out that all this talking isn't helping anyone and just makes things boring for everyone watching. Uncle Ben just stands there, frozen. He can't believe what he's seeing. Someone's getting totally destroyed, and he's too shocked to even move. He stands there stunned. The boy actually took down the slave owner and all his guards too. It's wild, nobody saw that coming. Once the dust finally cleared, something weird started happening. There was this strange light coming from Sway's chest. He glances down and notices that the light is actually coming from the ground. Inside the box are the slave contracts. That's how keeps control over everyone. He just grins, brushing it off like he just got lucky. The way he acts, it's almost like he's in on some inside joke with the world. He lets know he's lucky things turned out this way. The first version of the plan would been way rougher. He grabs a torch, ready to change everything for the better. As the light flickers in his hand, he's set on giving their story a new direction. He lights the contracts on fire, watching as their agreements burn away. The seal only had a month left before it would break. He realizes there's no point in just sitting around, so he starts checking out what he can do now. The system reacts right away, showing him his character sheet for the first time since he finished the fight. He checks his stats after the boss fight and notices he earned 50 points. He's actually the reason this story is blowing up. The system shows him a list of author skills, all set up like a branching tree. Most of the abilities are locked, and he figures out that he'll need readers to get more involved before he can unlock any of them. He notices that the exit and reset commands are only the beginning. Support is what holds his whole plan together. He thinks back to how was at the start of the game. She's nothing like how she turns out later. Getting her to trust him isn't going to be simple. Still, this guy is Ash. He's got all these author skills and special rewards from beating bosses, so things are way easier for him than they should be. He comes up with a bold new plan. He's going to take out the Demon King before the guy even gets unsealed. He thinks about what happens to a story that never gets a final boss, and a small, confident grin spreads across his face. At the Palace of the Kingdom of Winds, 3 royals showed up, hoping to meet with someone important. They got let in and started making their way down the long hallway, heading straight for the throne up ahead. King Altai wanted to know who was planning to show up at the enlistment ceremony. Prince, the oldest, turns down the offer. He says he has to stick around and lead his soldiers into battle against the devils. Prince, the younger brother, was already thinking about how he could shift the responsibility onto his sister. Loses her cool and snaps at her little brother, basically shutting him down so he'll stop sharing his thoughts. She moves up, standing tall as she gets ready to face the king herself. Princess stared them down, her eyes sharp and steady. She made it clear she wasn't going to show up, no matter what anyone said. The story makes it clear that there's only a month left before Seal breaks. When that happens, war will start. All over the kingdom, demons are starting to show up, causing chaos that everyone sees as a serious problem. The King of Winds starts getting everyone ready for the storm that's on the way. He makes sure his people know what's coming and gets them to brace themselves. Everyone can sense the tension in the air as he leads them through the preparations, determined to keep his nation safe. He puts out a call for new recruits all across the country, notices the opportunity and decides to sign up, thinking this could be his shot. The new guys showed up at the docks early, hanging around with their bags slung over their shoulders. Some tried to act cool, but most just looked nervous about what was coming next. They all knew they'd be leaving soon to deal with whatever trouble was waiting for them. Fresh stood in front of everyone, looking serious. He saw the chaos around them, but instead of freaking out, he told them this was their shot to prove themselves. For him, the disaster wasn't just trouble, it was a chance for them to do something big. He lets the soldiers know that they're lucky to even have this shot. Acting like dying for the higher-ups is something they should be thankful for. Already knows what this guy is really like. He's read the man's script before, so he's not fooled. This officer is cruel and petty under the surface. He starts thinking it's time to turn things around. He wants to show up and finally get Princess to notice him. The general gives his last command. Everyone can tell it's serious. The soldiers know what's coming as they get on the ships, bracing themselves for whatever happens next. Even though no one says it out loud, the weight of the situation hangs over them. The recruits lift their fists, pumped up even though the speech was pretty harsh. The loudspeaker started blasting a countdown, letting everyone know the airship was about to leave. The magical airship shook as a burst of energy pushed it off the water. Slowly, it rose higher, the engines humming under the weight of everyone's hopes and nerves. Above the waves, the ship looked ready for battle, heading straight for the front lines where things were about to get serious. Sat quietly, looking around at the airship. It was kind of wild to think he was actually inside something he used to sketch in his notebook. Seeing all the details up close, he realized how different it felt from just imagining it on paper. The engines hummed beneath his feet, and the view outside looked even better than he'd pictured. For a second, he just took it all in, a little surprised that his drawings had turned into something real. Down below the main deck, one of the officers calls all the fresh recruits together. The new soldiers shuffle into a tight group, not sure what to expect, while the officer gets ready to explain what's coming next. Most of them look around, trying to spot a familiar face or figure out who's in charge, but it's pretty clear they're all in the same boat, literally and figuratively. He lets everyone know they'll be split into groups of 4 to help keep things organized. The recruits cheer loudly while the ship moves forward, cutting through the clouds. An officer lifted up a recruitment file and looked for Sname, getting ready to call him out. The guy steps up, says who he is, and just like that, he's locked in as a soldier. The officer in charge didn't exactly roll out the red carpet when joined his squad. He looked at her with a cold stare, making it clear she wasn't going to get any special treatment. It felt more like she was an outsider stepping into someone else's territory than a new teammate. Sue nodded, looking pretty satisfied, like everything was happening just the way he wanted. He notices that whenever he sticks to Ash's choices, everything in the story starts happening just like he planned. This was his chance to steer things his way, keeping things on track and following the plan whenever he had to. The squad leader made things simple for everyone. He wanted them to listen and follow orders, no questions asked. That was his only rule, and he made sure everyone understood it right from the start. Already has the rundown on these guys. To him, they're nothing more than some desperate dudes trying to steal from the mines. He remembers how things went down in the original story. Ash ended up fighting these guys, but Fress set him up and made everyone believe he was a traitor. Fress took out the robbers himself, not hesitating for a second. When he was done, he turned his blade toward the hero who hadn't listened to him, making it clear he wasn't messing around. Ash would have been done for if Princess hadn't stepped in right at the last moment. Her quick move is what kept him alive. Thinks it over and comes up with a better plan. Instead of wasting time on the weaker guys, he sets his sights straight on the main threat. He remembers how the readers tore apart his first main character. Their harsh comments stuck with him, making it clear why that hero never made it. He made up his mind to come up with a better story. Right after, the system popped up with a new quest for him to tackle. He can't help but grin knowing this is his shot. Everything lined up just right, and he's ready to go for it. The system pops up and just like that, drops a 10-second timer on him. Just as his nerves start to get the better of him, the squad leader calls him out, snapping him back to reality. Time was running out and he started to freak out. In a rush, he just blurted out that he wanted to be their boss, hoping it would work. The 3 robbers just stood there, totally confused by what he was asking. None of them knew how to react, and for a second it was like time froze. He sees that talking things out isn't going anywhere, so he figures it's time to handle things himself. If words won't work, he'll use his fists instead. He pushes ahead, eyes lit up with determination. He wants everyone to know he's serious about taking charge. The robbers just stand there, staring at him, totally confused by what he thinks begging looks like. He throws one solid punch, and all 3 robbers get knocked back, crashing through the air like bowling pins scattering across the floor. Right as he's about to throw his punch, something hits him. It's like his brain freezes for a second. He realizes something's not right. He totally lost track of the fact that they were way up in the air. He moves fast, barely making it in time to catch the squad leader's hand before he falls. He's gripping the edge with both hands, arms shaking as 3 guys pull hard from the other side. It's getting harder to keep his balance, and his feet keep slipping closer to the drop. Every muscle in his body is burning, but he's not letting go yet. The robbers, panicking and desperate, start pleading for mercy. They offer him whatever they can think of, hoping he'll let them go. Isn't messing around. He's got one demand, and he's not budging on it. With just a second on the clock, someone finally shouts the word he's been waiting for. Boss. boss. Just like that, the system pops up and lets him know he's finished the quest. He gets rewarded for the way he led everyone, showing that his approach really worked. Just as he's starting to enjoy his win, a message blasts through the ship's speakers. The ride's over. They've finally made it to where they were headed. Surviving a close call together does something to people. After everything that went down, the robbers stick around, now showing loyalty they didn't have before. It's like facing danger made them all trust each other a bit more. Just as everyone starts to relax and enjoy the moment, General Fress shows up. The mood shifts fast, and everyone can tell things just got serious. General Fress isn't someone you ignore, and he wants answers right away. The group goes quiet, realizing their break is over. He notices a big dent in the guy's armor, shaped just like a fist. It's pretty obvious there was a fight. Realizes this might mess everything up for him, so he gets ready to own up and take responsibility. He watched as his new crew stepped up, ready to take the blame instead of him. It caught him off guard. He hadn't expected them to back him up like that, especially since he barely knew them. Watching them do this, he realized things had just changed for him in a big way. He just stands there, frozen. He can't figure out why they'd put themselves in danger for someone they barely know, especially their new boss. He suddenly remembers something he wrote down earlier. The robbers always stick by their leader, no matter what. Fress turns on them, turning loyalty into something harsh. Instead of showing any gratitude, he throws them into a fight to the death. Couldn't just stand by and watch his new friends get hurt. He jumped in and caught the general's arm, stopping him before things got worse. He holds on tight, making it clear he's not backing down from the guy in charge. Fress's eyes narrowed as he looked at the recruit. He was clearly annoyed, like he was already thinking up some rough ways to deal with the kid. It was obvious the recruit had messed up, and Fress wasn't about to let it slide. Turns things around and calls out the general, throwing down a challenge for a public duel right at the ceremony. His new crew just stands there, not really sure what to think. They look at him, almost certain their boss must be out of his mind or looking for trouble. Fress's glare sharpens, his interest clearly sparked by the thought of someone getting taken out in front of everyone. Can't help but smirk, feeling pretty good about himself. Looks like the general walked right into his plan. The airship glides into the capital city of the Kingdom of Winds, floating high above the ground, surrounded by clouds. All over the city, holographic screens blinked on, showing a message from the royal butler. He lets everyone know the ceremony is starting, and points out that someone from the royal family is there. People in the crowd started talking among themselves. Some of them didn't bother hiding how little they thought of the princess, acting like she was just there to look pretty and nothing more. The arena sits way up in the sky, massive and floating above the clouds, all set for whatever's about to go down. Su looks at his opponent and knows he's outmatched. The guy's clearly on another level. Su realizes just throwing punches won't cut it here. He's got to use his head if he wants a chance. The announcer's voice echoed through the arena, grabbing everyone's attention as Princess walked out onto the stage. Princess steps forward in front of everyone. She talks to the crowd, getting all the new guys focused on what's coming. Everyone listens up as she gets them ready to face the demons together. He glances up at the person in the distance, and it hits him. He's just come face to face with the main girl from the story. She looks out at the soldiers and really appreciates what they've done. Their bravery and the stuff they've gone through hits her, and she feels thankful for them. Suddenly an old memory hits her, one that hurts way more than she lets on. It's clear now, she's not just determined for the usual reasons. There's something personal driving her, something that still stings whenever she thinks about it. As she stood there, the way she usually acted in front of everyone slipped away. It was pretty clear she really didn't want to be at this ceremony at all. Back in the throne room, she just sat there, not even bothering to show up like everyone wanted. The king brought up her royal duties, pointing out that her brothers were off handling important stuff. She was stuck because of her title, so she just had to do what her dad told her. Nobody dared to question the king. His eyes glowed in a way that made it clear whatever he said was final. The huge doors to the throne room closed behind her with a loud bang, making it clear there was no turning back now. In her head, it's like everyone's talking behind her back. She's stuck being the princess, but nobody really sees her for who she is. To them, she's just there to look pretty, not to actually do anything important. Everyone in the kingdom looks up to her brothers. One's known for his skills in battle, the other for his brains, and people see them as real heroes who saved everyone. She's always wanted to fit in with the others, to stand up for her people just like they do. Back in the present, she glances at the words she wrote on her hand and goes through the motions, but it's clear she isn't really into it. It all just feels empty, like she's just doing what she has to without any real spark. She wraps up her speech and the whole crowd goes wild. Everyone's cheering, totally hyped up by this princess on stage. Deep down, though, she's not sure she deserves all this attention. Once she's done what she needed to do, she turns away, wanting to get out of sight as fast as possible. Being watched by so many people isn't really her thing, so she's quick to head off before anyone notices her hanging around. General Fress moves up, letting her know there's still something else they need to deal with. She sighs, clearly irritated, and turns her attention to the arena below. That's where things are about to get interesting for her. Finally, something worth watching waits in the arena, knowing this is his shot to finally get noticed by the princess. Fresh steps up and challenges his opponent to a one-on-one fight. He wants to turn this into a public showdown, hoping everyone watching will see it as a lesson in discipline. Just laughs it off, catching on instantly to what he's trying to do. She doesn't take his attitude seriously at all and completely ignores the whole thing. Sue quickly notices things aren't going how he hoped. The princess doesn't even seem to care about what he's trying to do. She gives a quick wave, ready to head out now that her work is done. Sue pretends to be let down, acting like she's bummed about not getting to see what happens next. He wonders out loud if she's hurrying to catch up with her brothers, who always seem to come first. The princess hears the words, and it hits her hard. All that fake happiness she was showing just disappears right away. She can't believe he's aware of their secret missions, stuff only a handful of people should even know about, definitely not some regular soldier. He notices she's interested, so he tries to push things a bit further. He wants to know why she isn't sticking around for the duel, hoping to keep her attention on him. Couldn't keep her cool anymore. She shot Fress a look, telling him to go check out what was up with that rude soldier. Acts like just another regular miner, keeping his head down and pretending he's only there to finish things his own way. He doesn't brag or try to stand out, making it seem like he's just focused on going out with his dignity, nothing more. He twists the knife a little more, pointing out that at least it's better than just standing around like some useless decoration your whole life. The princess takes the hit, and it's clear she's furious. Her eyes light up with anger, making it obvious to everyone around that she's not about to let this slide. General Fress can't figure out what's going on. He's stuck trying to understand why any recruit would take such a big chance just to challenge royalty to a duel. He figures the kid is either clueless or hiding something big. The general starts getting more suspicious, thinking this could just be a trick to get him to relax. Made up her mind and gave the signal for the duel to start right away, granting his final request. Sue could tell his plan worked. Deep down, he felt bad for hitting her right where it mattered most, even if he didn't say anything out loud. He lays out what he's really after, and just like that, the careful general starts doubting his own moves. That moment of hesitation is exactly what he needs to take control of the situation. The announcer's voice bounced around the huge coliseum, grabbing everyone's attention as he called the fighters up to the stage. Wei and General Fress stood on opposite sides of the field, spaced far apart. The gap between them was huge, and both seemed focused as they got ready for whatever was about to happen. Suddenly, a bright purple shield pops up around the stage, locking both of them in together. Fress starts going over the rules in this smug way, acting like he thinks everyone else is clueless or too young to get it. Stepped in before he could finish, pointing out that it was a ward. It was almost like he already knew what was coming. The general squinted, clearly annoyed that this random peasant had just interrupted his speech. Princess sat on her throne, clearly annoyed, and signaled for the duel to start. Fress stands over his opponent, looking huge in his heavy armor and full of confidence. He moves in fast, almost too quick to follow, with purple energy swirling around him and a dangerous look in his eyes. The two fighters went at each other fast, swords smashing together so hard it echoed through the place. That first hit was loud enough to turn heads, and right from the start, everyone knew this duel was serious. Pushes back as hard as he can, but the general's strength is way too much. His arms ache like crazy, every muscle burning as he tries not to give in. Fress notices that this new guy is way stronger than he expected. He starts to wonder if the recruit had been hiding his real strength all along. There's this uneasy feeling settling in, like maybe he missed something important. The two fighters smash into each other, and the impact blasts them both off their feet. They go flying backward, hit hard by the force, and land a good distance away from where they started. They slide across the arena floor, both sides pushing hard but neither one managing to get the upper hand. The first clash ends with nobody winning, just a tie that leaves everyone watching even more hype. The soldiers in the crowd freeze, eyes wide. No one expected to see a kid stand up to a general like that. All around the Coliseum, the crowd gets louder, everyone starting to cheer for the underdog. The energy grows, people on their feet clapping and shouting, backing the one no one expected to root for. Fress clenched his fists, frustration burning inside him. He hadn't expected anyone to push back like that, and now his pride was bruised. He tried to keep his cool, but it was obvious he was annoyed. He shoots a cold stare at the crowd, annoyed that all these random people are actually rooting for the other guy instead of him. Steps up, not backing down at all. He stands firm, making it clear that the other guy isn't going anywhere. The tension in the air is heavy, but holds his ground, showing that he's in control of what happens next. He stands there totally sure of himself, convinced he's the one who's going to win. The whole Coliseum shakes as their first hit lands, like the place can barely handle the fight that's just started. The match barely pauses before gets knocked back, sent flying across the arena. He realizes just how outmatched he is, both in skill and power, but he's not about to back down. Fress stands over him, looking down with that smug face, not even taking him seriously. It's clear Fress thinks he's got this, almost daring the guy to try again like he's just waiting to see if he'll actually get back up. Stood up, showing everyone she wasn't impressed. She pointed out how all this just made the general seem weak. Fress loses it after hearing the insult. He doesn't hold back anymore and rushes straight in, ready to end it. All his patience is out the window now. Sue's thoughts start running wild as he struggles to remember exactly what he wrote about this character. Suddenly, an old memory pops into his head. He remembers what it was like when he used to be a comic artist, just chilling and playing video games. He keeps thinking back to all the times he lost to that one swordsman who always seemed way too strong. No matter how hard he tried, he just couldn't win. He suddenly got a cool idea and thought it'd be awesome if Fress had that character's moves. So, he went ahead and gave those moves to Fress, thinking it'd make things way more interesting. He thinks back to how the character always spams that super long lightning attack from a distance. Back in the present, things had shifted. The energy was different now, like everyone was waiting to see what would happen next. He watched closely, trying to catch any mistake or slip-up, but the guy nailed it every single time. No matter how hard he looked, it seemed like nothing could get past him. The general loses his footing, and that's when makes his move. He charges straight at the general, not hesitating, ready to take control of the fight. He swings his blade, but it just bounces off the general's armor like it's nothing. Standing there, he knows right away that fighting head-on isn't going to work. The general's just too tough for that. He keeps pushing, throwing out more taunts, just trying to get under Fress's skin and make him mess up even worse. The general finally loses it. You can see it in his eyes. He's done holding back. There's nothing but cold anger there now, and it's clear he's ready to take things to the next level. He lets out a powerful burst of energy, his anger clear as he goes all out against his opponent. Gets hit hard and goes flying across the arena. The impact knocks him off balance, and he crashes to the ground, struggling to get his bearings as everyone watches. He clenches his jaw, pain shooting through him. He knew he couldn't dodge that hit, he just had to take it. Fresh stands over him now, and realizes that everything he set up is finally starting to happen. The general laughs at him, totally sure this guy's just another overconfident rookie who's about to get wrecked. Fresh lifts his fist into the air, letting everyone in the Colosseum know he's won. Princess sits on her throne, making it clear that anyone who goes against the kingdom will pay the price. She doesn't need to say anything. Her actions speak for her, and everyone in the room gets the message. Her words hung in the air, reaching every soldier in the quiet crowd. Everyone could tell this was more than just talk. It was a clear message for anyone even thinking about crossing them. Over at the Capitol, Fress stands on stage, giving his victory speech. The whole thing gets streamed everywhere, so pretty much everyone can watch him celebrate his win. Fress swings his sword down hard, putting everything he's got into the strike, determined to finish things right here. Hits the ground, but he doesn't give up. He steadies himself, ready for whatever comes next. The blade slams down hard, setting off a huge blast of purple energy that lights up everything around it. His new crew just stood there, frozen. They couldn't do anything except watch, calling out for their leader who was already down. Stands there in the smoke, already thinking how this win could land him a promotion. He notices the barrier is still up. That means the fight's not done yet. Out of the dust, someone suddenly appears and rushes straight toward him, moving way faster than anyone should be able to. The general spins around, totally caught off guard. He was just starting to celebrate his win, but that moment gets shut down fast. His fist lit up with energy, and everyone could tell this was the moment he'd been waiting for. He braced himself, ready to throw the punch he'd been holding back. The air around him felt charged, and even the crowd watching seemed to hold their breath, waiting to see what would happen next. The hit lands hard, and everyone in the arena can feel the impact ripple out. The hit lands hard, making cracks spread out like a spider web across the barrier. His new crew breaks out into cheers when they see he's still alive and kicking. Pauses for a second, breathing hard. He knows that last attack almost got him. Fress just stared, not understanding how a new guy's strength could jump that fast. He wanted answers, but nothing made sense right now. He finally showed the trump card he'd been hiding, those 20 stat points he'd saved up after the boss fight. At the last second, he threw all his points into strength, kind of like a desperate move when you're out of options. He looked over at the crowd, acting like he was just an innocent guy trying to help out. Everyone in the Capitol can hear his speech as it goes live. He's asking for help, trying to get people on his side to stand up to a corrupt general. People in the crowd watched as he stood his ground, and slowly they started to get behind him. At first, nobody seemed sure, but seeing him hang in there made them want to support the underdog. Some folks started cheering, and a few even pulled out their phones to record what was happening. The mood shifted. Suddenly, he wasn't alone. The crowd's cheers bounce around the arena while gets ready for the second round. Everyone in the Colosseum stands up, yelling and cheering so loud it feels like the whole place might fall apart. All eyes are on the underdog, and the energy from the crowd is impossible to ignore. Princess just stands there, caught off guard as she notices everyone's attitude shifting. She can tell people aren't on her general's side anymore. Inside the barrier, Fress clenched his fists, frustration building as he watched the crowd cheer for someone he thought was beneath him. He just couldn't get why everyone was on the side of a regular guy, and it gnawed at him. The noise from the stands made it worse, and Fress felt his anger rising with every shout. He can't hold back his anger anymore. His eyes light up with a cold, dangerous look, like he's ready to take down anyone who stands against him, not just the guy in front of him. He pushes himself past his limits, letting rage take over. It's dangerous, but his strength shoots up fast, even though he starts to lose control of his mind. This was the moment had been waiting for. The general's anger was just what he needed to gain the upper hand. From the start, he'd set up a plan just for this moment, making sure Fress would see him as less of a threat. He wanted Fress to let his guard down, and now, thinking back, everything was going the way he wanted. He could tell that the general never agreed to a fight unless he was sure he'd come out on top. He called out both the general and the princess right in front of everyone, throwing out an insult that was meant to mess with Fress's head. Can see his opponent losing control, totally caught up in anger. At this point, he's sure he's already won. He pictures how it could all end. The general, so full of himself, suddenly taken down by the same new guy he always looked down on. He realizes that if he steps away now, Fress will lose control and start going after everyone around them. The new guys in his crew moved forward, tossing out insults to grab the general's attention. The general's anger locked onto them, all thanks to their teasing. Now he wasn't thinking about anyone else, just them. Fress falls for it and marches straight toward the edge of the arena, heavy steps echoing as he goes. He runs straight at the barrier, ready to take out everyone watching. The crowd's disrespect has pushed him over the edge, and now he's not holding back. Just like they expected, messing with it sets off the ward's self-defense system. Out of nowhere, beams of energy shoot up and block anyone who tries to run off the stage. No matter how hard they try, there's no way out. With the general trapped and unable to move, steps forward, letting everyone know that the hunt is officially on. Hangs in the air, totally stuck, like the system's got him on lockdown. All he can do is yell, but nobody's coming to help. It's like he's just dangling there, not in control of anything, and it's honestly starting to freak him out. Stood his ground, his opponent stuck with no way out. He braced himself, focused and steady, knowing this was his chance to finish things. He jumps high into the air, his sword locked onto the general, who can't do anything to stop him. He tightens his grip, muscles tensed and eyes locked on his target. Then, with one last burst of energy, he swings his sword down hard, aiming to end the fight right there. The hit lands with a burst of light, deciding the general's fate right then and there. Su landed smoothly, while the general hung in the air, frozen and helpless, looking like he was stuck with his own pride. Princess sits on her throne, frozen. She just stares, mouth hanging open, not sure what to do or think. His new crew just stands there, totally caught off guard. You can see the disbelief all over their faces, like they're still trying to figure out if this is real or not. Everyone in the crowd just goes quiet, all eyes locked on what just happened. No one expected this. It's the kind of moment that pulls everybody in, leaving them frozen as they try to process the crazy turn of events. The whole Colosseum goes quiet for a second before a voice rings out, letting everyone know the fight's done and calling out who won. The crowd reacts right away, some people cheering, others just taking it in as the announcement settles over everyone. Just when everything goes quiet, someone from the squad suddenly cheers. The new squad leader is the first to speak up, calling him the strongest recruit. The rest of the group starts to notice and people start looking at him differently. It's a weird moment. Everyone's attention is on him and he can feel the energy shift. The chant catches on fast, rolling through the crowd until everyone in the army is cheering for their new champion. Su didn't really expect this. He hadn't been trying to be the strongest recruit or anything, so the news caught him off guard. After winning, the system hooked him up with 30 extra attribute points and unlocked 2 new skills for him, Save and Hide. The party doesn't last long. Suddenly, a huge hologram of the king pops up over the arena, grabbing everyone's attention. Princess just froze. She hadn't expected her dad to show up out of nowhere like that. The king watches what just happened and can't help but be impressed, even though the whole thing is turning into a huge problem for him. Looked over at the king and brought up the empty spot in the army's leadership. He wanted to know if the king was worried about not having someone in charge now. The king lets everyone know that Fress was supposed to guide the new recruits and help out Prince Rod's team at the front. The vanguard was struggling, barely holding their ground as wave after wave of monsters kept coming at them. No matter how hard they fought, it looked like the enemy wasn't about to stop anytime soon. Right there on the battlefield, the king surprises everyone by picking Wei to be the new stand-in commander. Shakes his head, not wanting to take charge. He doesn't think someone like him, just a new guy, should be leading a whole army. Princess hears him and something changes in her. She steps up, ready to put herself out there, not wanting to hang back anymore. He steps up and supports her, making it clear to everyone that he trusts her to take charge and lead the group to win. The king glanced down at his daughter, trying to fit the act, making it seem like he's just a regular guy who works in the mines. He keeps things low-key, not drawing any attention to himself, just blending in with the crowd. Doesn't really trust him, but she knows he's the reason she even made it to the battlefield. That's something she can't ignore, and she figures she owes him for that. She turns and heads off, giving him a quick wave as she leaves. He watches her go, knowing she'll be back tomorrow with something to help him out. He gets her in a way she doesn't even realize. It makes sense. He's the one who came up with her whole story. He decided it was better to let her figure things out on her own, instead of just giving her an easy way out. He wanted her to get stronger by facing things herself. Back at the barracks, his new squad already looks up to him. They're clearly impressed, following his lead and watching his every move, like he's someone they want to be around. It's obvious he's earned their respect without even trying too hard. He's rocking some new lieutenant armor now, and he's got an enchanted sword to go with it. It's definitely an upgrade for him, and you can tell he's ready to take on whatever comes next. The system popped up on the screen, showing his updated stats. Now his total combat strength was 112. He realizes what he's done so far isn't going to cut it. Taking down the Demon King still seems almost impossible. He stepped up and took charge, telling his squad to hunt down the latest war report. The report comes in, and it's clear. Prince Rods is down in the southwest, caught up in a fight against an army of undead skeletons. The group stands together, staring out at a massive army of skeletons. No matter how many they take down, more keep crawling out of the darkness, bones clattering as they march forward. It's like the skeletons just won't stop coming, and each one looks just as tough as the last. His underling starts to panic, knowing that winning won't come easy. It's going to be a long, tough fight, and he's not sure if he can keep up. Sway realizes the skeletons aren't the main problem. There's something else going on, something bigger that he needs to watch out for. While everyone's caught up dealing with the skeletons, keeps his focus sharp, trying to figure out what's really coming their way. He lets them know that the other kingdoms actually showed up because they want to take the Skeleton King's magic stone. He starts to think that stone might actually help him in his battle with the Demon King. He grabs a pen and starts jotting down what he needs to buy, already thinking about where to head first. He gives his squad the list and tells them to head out and grab everything on it right away. The group wondered about the odd request so late at night, but he didn't say a word about it. He just kept moving, making it clear he was in charge and didn't owe anyone an explanation. At the same time, dark clouds covered the sky and rain started coming down hard. Suddenly, a huge burst of energy lit up everything around. People watching knew right away that something big was happening. Someone legendary was behind it. Prince Rods moves through the chaos on the front lines, his blade flashing fast as he takes down anyone in his way. Each swing is sharp and quick, making it hard for enemies to keep up. All around him, the battle is loud and messy, but Rods keeps his focus, pushing forward without hesitating. Even with all the noise and danger, he stays calm, leading the charge and showing everyone what it means to be fearless. Prince Rod can tell right away what's really going on. He knows this isn't just a random idea. It's someone trying to get more control for themselves. General Nold from the Steam Kingdom just smirked when he got called out. He didn't seem bothered at all, almost like he'd been expecting it. Rod stood his ground, energy buzzing around him as he faced the general. He wasn't backing down. Instead, he dared the general to do something, showing he was ready for whatever might come next. Somewhere far away, a huge army made its way through a dead, empty valley scattered with bones. The place looked like nobody had lived there for ages. The soldiers kept moving, their armor clinking, the only sound in the silent wasteland. One guy rides up on his horse, and suddenly the whole group stops in their tracks. Princess stood in front of her squad, getting ready for the big battle coming up. She wore her new commander gear, looking way more serious than before. The troops watched her, waiting for her next move. Everyone could tell she was trying to act confident, even though this was a huge step for her. The atmosphere felt tense, but also kind of exciting, like everyone was about to level up together. Her new lieutenants didn't waste any time testing her. They made it clear she should stay sharp, like they were already waiting for her to slip up. Lieutenant General notices that she's never actually been in a real battle before. Lieutenant General Ella just looks at her and decides she's not strong enough to be useful, basically writing her off right from the start. So much for an inspiring first-team meeting. Clenched her jaw, annoyed but determined, and told everyone to keep going even though they were being openly disrespected. Understands just how much she can do, even if others don't see it yet. He decides he's going to look out for her and help her as she starts figuring things out and getting stronger. A new mission popped up from the system. Take down the Skeleton King and grab his power. He remembers how Skull Valley is set up. It's a dungeon with 4 levels, and the king waits all the way down at the lowest floor. He realizes he's still not strong enough. If he wants a shot at winning the final battle, he's going to have to put in the work and find some friends who can back him up. The army showed up right at the entrance of the dungeon, ready for whatever was waiting inside. He stepped into the darkness, heart pounding but trying to keep his cool. Every shadow seemed to move, but he kept going, knowing there was no turning back now. Moves ahead, determined to show everyone she's not just there to look pretty. She wants people to know she has more to offer than what they see on the surface. Suddenly remembers something important about how to get into this dungeon. Just Just then, a single skeleton warrior steps out from the darkness. The creature lets out a scream so loud it feels like it could shake your bones. Its hollow eyes stay locked right on the people who just showed up. The creature jumps straight at the princess, its blade pointing right at her head. At the very last moment, jumps in and blocks the hit, putting himself between her and the danger. The skeleton pulls itself back together from a pile of dust, bones snapping into place one by one. It stands up straight, its empty eyes locked on anyone nearby, making it pretty clear that no one is welcome here. Anyone who steps into its space isn't getting out without a fight. Just stands there, frozen. She can't figure out how this thing survived after her brother's army already came through. He lays out the harsh reality. The skeletons just keep coming back to life as long as the magic stone isn't destroyed. Doesn't even flinch. She focuses, her energy building up. If she can't take this thing down, she's got a backup plan. She'll just freeze it completely. She sends out a blast of icy energy straight at the skeleton standing alone. The creature freezes right there, trapped inside a block of solid, sparkling ice. Nods with a grin, already stepping forward to wrap things up. He pulls back his arm, muscles tensing, getting ready to smash the frozen monster in front of him. The ice and bone burst apart, sending sharp, glittering pieces flying everywhere. With the danger taken care of, all that's left are chunks of ice scattered across the cavern floor. Her lieutenants didn't take her seriously at all. They just made fun of her and joked around, saying she was the weakest princess. The comment lands right where it hurts, and its eyes light up with anger she doesn't even try to hide. Suddenly tenses up when he realizes what's about to go down. He's about to see teammates turning on each other. His heart starts racing, and he can't help but brace himself, not sure what's going to happen next. Just used her freezing power on her own officers who weren't following orders. Both lieutenants just stood there, frozen, not sure how to react after what the princess just did. She wasn't trying to attack them at all. Instead, she stepped in just in time to protect them from another group of skeletons sneaking up. Everyone in the squad stares as the frozen body drops and hits the ground, the sound echoing around them. No one moves, they're just stuck watching, trying to process what just happened. Shot a sharp look at her officers, making it clear she wasn't someone to mess with. From now on, nobody on her team would dare to doubt her. Flashes a quick smirk, looking pretty pleased with himself. He gestures at the two lieutenants, making it clear they should say thanks. They felt pretty small and awkward, not really sure how to act. Even though it was tough, they managed to thank the princess for helping them out. Looked over at, realizing she'd missed something important. She let him know she appreciated his help, showing a bit of respect for catching what she hadn't noticed. But her suspicion crept back in, making her wonder how he seemed to know so much about the undead. The guy starts to sweat a little, noticing that his so-called plot armor isn't as solid as he thought. Lets it slide for the moment and signals for the squad to head further into the dungeon. The system popped up, saying the kill counted and tossing just 1 point their way for all that work. The small group didn't slow down, moving deeper into the cave without looking back. Lieutenant Ella starts fighting hard, but the monsters just keep coming. No matter how many she takes down, more show up, and it's like they never run out. She's getting tired, and it's obvious she's starting to fall behind as the swarm closes in on her. She almost loses it when another skeleton warrior charges straight at her, ready to take her down. Sway steps in right on time, taking out the creature and saving his officer, even though the guy never really listened to orders. Their relief doesn't last long. Out of nowhere, a huge army of skeletons starts marching out from the shadows, making the whole place feel even more dangerous. He stands alone, facing a swarm of the undead. It's just him, one guy, going up against a whole army of zombies. He pulls everyone together and gets them focused again, pointing out that the princess's ice magic is their best shot at winning. The skeletons were getting closer, their bones clacking with every step. He glanced over at, giving her a quick signal. It was time for her to show what she could do. The princess steps forward, her eyes lighting up with this icy glow. She focuses, and suddenly her sword gets covered in freezing energy, almost like a storm is swirling right there in her hands. She sends out a huge blast of ice that sweeps through the cavern, freezing everything in its path. In just a second, the whole undead army stops moving, trapped inside a massive block of sparkling ice. It's like someone just hit pause on the worst nightmare ever, and now everything's stuck cold and shining in the frozen air. The soldiers just stand there, frozen. None of them can figure out how they're supposed to take down the final boss. Offers a quick congratulations to the princess and pushes everyone to keep moving forward. They keep moving forward, the cave walls starting to look like creepy bones all around them. Lieutenant Dolers reaches a split in the trail and looks back, waiting to see what the commander wants to do next. Doesn't waste any time. She just goes for it, pointing everyone down the left path like she knows exactly where they're supposed to go. She notices there aren't any bodies around. That's when it hits her. Her brother is seriously strong. He must have wiped out everything in his path, making it safe for her to walk through. brings up the idea that they should split up, like what usually happens in those RPG games. Narrowed her eyes, watching the new guy. There was something off about how sure of himself he seemed. Most recruits showed at least a hint of nerves, but this one acted like he owned the place. Couldn't help but keep an eye on him, her guard up. Didn't let up. She kept pushing him, determined to find out how he got his hands on such private info. Lieutenant wasn't cool with the idea. He didn't get why they needed to split up, especially since had already picked which way to go. Nobody expected it, but Princess actually nodded along with this idea. She chooses to guide down the right path herself, while her lieutenants head off to the left. He meant for things to play out like this. He figured if he acted a little off, she'd get curious and start keeping an eye on him. He realizes they have to go their separate ways if they want a shot at beating the skeleton general on this level. The two guys head off by themselves into the dark, empty hallway. It's quiet, and every step they take seems louder than usual. There's this weird tension in the air, but neither of them says anything. They just keep moving forward, sticking close together as they disappear into the shadows. He notices how quiet it is, almost weirdly quiet. The path in front of him is empty. There's not a single zombie in sight. Noticed the weird, empty caves along the walls and looked over at him, clearly curious about what he thought was going on. He shares that the skeletons used to be real people and somehow they still look just like they did before. He tells her the caves are empty now, since her brother's army already came through and cleared everything out. Thinks about what he said and gets where he's coming from, but in her mind, they just picked the wrong way to go. But then, her doubts came back. She couldn't help but think he was purposely trying to pull them away from the action. Sri acted like he was surprised, hoping she wouldn't notice how nervous he was getting as her questions started to hit closer to the truth. He tried to play it cool, but it was clear he just wanted to dodge what she was really asking. She notices that he's acting weird again, like he always somehow knows what's about to happen next. She can't help but point it out, watching him closely, because it's not the first time he seemed a little too prepared for things. She wonders why he looks so chill, but on the inside he's freaking out, just waiting for the real boss to show up. Right as she's talking, a doorway close by starts glowing with this weird purple light that looks kind of creepy. Out of the portal, a thin, bony leg appears first, letting everyone know that someone new, and probably dangerous, is about to show up. The skeleton janitor watches as the soldiers leave, finally able to get back to cleaning without anyone in his way. He looks almost relaxed, happy to have the place to himself again. The janitor turns around, and suddenly it's quiet between the three of them. No one really knows what to do, so they just stand there, not saying anything. The silence feels heavy, and everyone's kind of hoping someone else will break it first. The skeleton janitor froze, his thoughts racing as he tried to figure out how humans had shown up in this place. Sway notices what's happening and knows this is his chance. He's been waiting for a moment like this, so he stays sharp and gets ready to make his move. The janitor glances around, then quickly opens up a swirling purple portal. He's clearly in a hurry, hoping to slip away before anyone notices. Sue pushes himself forward, not willing to let the guy he's after slip away. Princess was caught off guard, tears welling up in her eyes as she tried to figure out what was happening. All she could do was try to stop him, feeling lost and helpless in the chaos. He doesn't slow down at all. Without hesitating, he rushes straight into the strange portal, chasing the skeleton. Back at the fork in the road, the other soldiers suddenly notice their commanders are nowhere to be seen. Confused, they glance around, trying to figure out where they went. Some of the guys start whispering and checking their phones, hoping for a message or clue, but nothing comes through. The whole group just stands there, unsure of what to do next. Hit the ground pretty hard in a strange new cave. The sudden teleport left her totally thrown off, and she needed a second to figure out where she even was. She glances up and spots standing there with the skeleton. Right away, her doubts start creeping back in. The skeleton looks scared, trying to explain himself. He keeps pointing to his mop and bucket, hoping they'll understand he's just there to clean up, not to start some big battle. Steps forward, her voice steady as she tries to show the creature she means no harm. She moves carefully, hoping it understands she doesn't want to fight. Her focus is on keeping things peaceful, letting it know that it's safe for now. He steps up to help, suddenly realizing this was just a side character he made up a long time ago. He thinks back to the story he made up, remembering how the Skeleton King forced regular people to work for his army. The servants slip through hidden doors to move around the dungeon, letting them get to places nobody else can. The skeleton janitor looked desperate, clearly tired of cleaning up after everyone forever. He wanted out, hoping these guys might have some idea to help him escape his never-ending job. For more than 100 years, he went through non-stop pain, stuck with the king's mark that wouldn't let him die or get away. Feels kind of embarrassed as he remembers the dramatic stuff he wrote in his past life. He tries to be supportive, but can't help but cringe a little inside thinking about those old lines. Princess hears the animal's story and can't help but feel sorry for it. Without hesitating, she decides she's going to do something to help. Before she can finish, steps in and says he'll help her out, but only if she does something for him later. He waits for the janitor, knowing he can't find this hidden spot on his own. While he's focused on that, back at the fork in the hallway, things get rough. A soldier gets thrown hard against the wall, the impact echoing down the corridor. Lieutenant starts to understand how outclassed they are. It hits him slowly like a cold wave. He can see it in the way the enemy moves and fights. Nothing they do seems to work. The odds are stacked way too high and knows it. They accidentally walked straight into the first floor's boss, a giant skeleton general that looked ready for a fight. The two lieutenants and their squad line up together, staring down the one guy standing alone across from them. Anyone watching could tell this was totally one-sided. The squad clearly outmatched their lone opponent. Stands his ground and moves up, ready to face the undead commander head-on. He runs fast across the cavern floor, his silver gear standing out in the dark. His sword hits the general's huge shield, making a loud metallic sound that echoes through the air. The blast hits hard, sending out a huge wave of force, but the shield holds steady, looking just as solid as before. His own attack bounced right back at him, hitting way harder than he expected. Gets knocked back hard, crashing to the ground. His usual confidence just disappears after running into the general's solid defense. Physical attacks weren't working at all, so Dolar decided it was time to switch things up. He told his wizard guys to move in, hoping their magic could do what regular punches and kicks couldn't. The mages lift their staves and let loose a blast of dark magic together. Purple energy beams shot in from different directions, all aiming straight at the undead general standing alone. The blast of magic slammed hard into the shield, hitting it with so much power that it almost looked like the barrier might crack. Lets out a laugh, thinking he's already won and the fight's basically over. The general doesn't even have a scratch on him. Magic clearly doesn't work on this guy at all. The lieutenant stands there thinking hard. He can't shake the feeling that he's seen this shield somewhere before. The shape, the scratches, it almost triggers something in his memory, but he just can't pin it down. It bugs him, like when you're scrolling and see a face you know but can't remember the name. He remembers hearing about a legendary human general who had a shield that nothing could break. He suddenly notices that the Skeleton King has brought that same general back to life, making him one of his servants now. Hits a wall, nothing he tries can get past that defense. He starts to freak out, mind racing for anything that might work, but he just can't think of a single move. A quick burst of purple light shoots across the cave, fading fast as the hidden portal snaps shut, and their new skeleton guide crouched together on a ledge tucked out of sight, looking down into the shadows below. They made it right on time, slipping into place behind the first floor's boss. 3 minutes earlier, Sway was filling in his friends on what was going on. He kept it short but made sure everyone understood the situation. While he talked, his friends listened closely, trying to piece together what might happen next. He lets everyone know who the Skeleton General really is, and explains how its shield works, showing that it isn't actually unbeatable after all. Princess' anger started to boil when she figured out he'd been keeping important, life-or-death stuff from her. It hit her hard, knowing someone she trusted hadn't told her everything she needed to know. Her mind raced, trying to make sense of why he'd hide something so serious. He starts talking about where the shield isn't strong, not even noticing how mad the princess is getting. He glances over at the janitor, acting like he doesn't already know who it is, even though he's the one who made up the character. He signals to the skeleton to sneak around behind the general. The plan is clear: get into position and set up for the finishing move. Back in the present, Lieutenant pushes ahead, his face tight with anger and desperation. He rushes forward, not caring about anything else in that moment. His lightning attack just bounces right off the general's shield, like it doesn't even matter. The shield doesn't budge at all, stopping everything he throws at it. Just lets out a frustrated yell. No matter how hard he tries, nothing seems to work. Up on the ledge, catches the princess's eye and signals her. That's her cue. It's time to move. Tells everyone she's in charge, but at the same time, she can't hold back and ends up using her power anyway. Ice magic starts pouring down from the sky, slamming into the ground like a bunch of frozen meteors. It's intense. Everything gets hit with freezing blasts, turning the battlefield cold and dangerous in seconds. The skeleton general glances up, totally surprised by the sudden attack. The ice crashed against the shield, covering the legendary artifact in a thick layer of frost almost immediately. With a gap finally open, doesn't waste a second. He jumps straight into the action, ready to take care of business. He rushes past the general, who just stands there frozen, and swings his blade right at the shield, which looks like it could break any second. The shield, now frozen solid, dropped to the ground. Its strong defense had finally given out. Lieutenant Ella just stands there, totally frozen. She can't figure out where this new recruit popped up from, and her mind is racing with questions. Size narrow as it sinks in, they weren't the main target here. Someone set them up, using them to draw out whoever they really wanted. Anger builds up inside him as he pieces it together, knowing he got played. The general was out in the open now, and didn't waste any time. He signaled the frozen soldiers to move in, telling them to push forward and keep up the pressure. The whole front line rushed ahead, determined to end the battle right then and there. The skeleton general's eyes lit up with a sharp green glow, and its sword started shining with the same creepy color. Stops in his tracks. Something about this moment hits him hard. It's like he's been here before, and the memory isn't a good one. His chest tightens as old fears start creeping back, and for a second he can't move at all. He spots the sword and instantly knows it's the one he got rid of before. He can't figure out how it's ended up here, and the whole thing just feels weird. Back when he was an artist, he came up with the design for this exact sword. He gave it the power to numb nerves, making it dangerous in a fight. He thinks back to when he decided the character was way too strong, so he took the gem out before the final version. Looks like the editor didn't catch that change. He freaks out and quickly tries to warn his friends, telling them not to get too close to the crazy weapon. His warning doesn't make it in time. The general's already let loose, blasting out a wave of green energy that surges across the field. Lieutenant suddenly freezes up as the blade's curse hits him. He can't move at all, and panic flashes across his face. Lieutenant Ella goes down next. She barely gets her move in before someone takes her out. It all happens fast, leaving no time for her to react. The vanguard soldiers dropped fast, each one taken out by a weapon they couldn't even understand. In just a few seconds, the whole front line goes down, and now the general stands there with nobody left to stop him. Up on the ledge, Princess just stands there, frozen. She can't do anything except watch what's happening below. Her heart's racing, and she keeps hoping we'll be okay, but all she can do is yell his name, hoping he'll hear her. She gets ready to join the fight, holding her staff as it starts to glow with cold, blue energy. Takes a deep breath and decides she's not giving up on her soldiers. She knows things are bad, but she's ready to do whatever it takes to help them, even if it means risking everything. Just as she's about to do something she can't take back, a skinny hand clamps around her wrist and stops her cold. The janitor shows up and lets her know that mages really don't do well when the fight gets up close. The janitor freaks out, sure the general is going to come after him for bringing everyone to this spot. Steps in, pressing his foot down on the guy's hand just as he tries to grab. That move stops him cold, and he can't do anything to hold her back. He suddenly notices he can't move at all. Panic sets in as he figures out the attack got him too. His mind races, trying to process what just happened while his body stays frozen. His thoughts start spinning. He can't figure out how the weapon he took out of the story is suddenly here. He's freaking out inside, trying to figure out if messing with the plot reset is what caused everything to go wrong. The system doesn't give him any answer, just leaves him hanging. For a whole minute, he can't do anything except wait, not sure what's going to happen next. The skeleton general towers above him, its cursed blade lifted high, ready to strike for the last time. Just stands there frozen. He can't do anything to protect himself. He's stuck, just watching everything happen. Out of nowhere, a sharp burst of blue energy shoots through the cavern, heading straight for the general. The undead commander spun around, clearly surprised when someone jumped in to stop him at the very last moment. The blast of energy hits the general right in the chest, bouncing off his armor with a loud impact. Princess watched as her own magic bounced right back at her, heading her way fast. The janitor glanced over his shoulder, making her remember the promise she'd made to help him get out. He braces himself and runs straight into the attack, not holding back even though he knows it could end badly. He steps in front of the princess, using himself as a shield. The blast hits him straight on, all of it meant for her. He's trapped in ice, unable to move, just hoping she gets away. This really isn't how he pictured his first day back after quitting. He's almost out of energy, barely hanging on, but somehow, he manages to stretch his hand forward. His fingers brush against the gem on her circlet just before he runs out of strength completely. Suddenly, a strange energy rushes through her. Her eyes go wide, not sure what's happening or why it's happening to her. Power moved through the air and started to gather on the cavern floor, slowly taking shape until a huge, glowing magic crystal formed there. The light from the crystal lit up the whole cave, making everything around it look different. It felt like something big had just happened, and anyone standing there would probably be staring, not sure what to think about this new, shining thing that just showed up out of nowhere. As the light spreads through the room, senses the numbness in his body fade away. For the first time in what feels like forever, he can actually move. The weight that held him down is gone, and he's finally back in control of himself. The skeleton general stood in front of him, missing one arm but still looking dangerous. Even beat up, the general wasn't backing down. The creature lifts its cursed sword, and the green gem in the hilt starts to glow. That weird light makes anyone nearby freeze up, like their whole body just locks in place. The general's sword goes straight through the recruit, who doesn't even get a chance to defend himself. It's a clean hit, leaving the recruit looking completely powerless against the general's attack. Su clenched his jaw, unfazed by the attack that was supposed to finish him. The hit didn't do anything, and he just stood there steady, almost like it barely even registered. Princess stands frozen, her voice cracking as she calls out his name. In that moment it hits her. She really thinks she's just seen him die. He stands there without a scratch, his face turning serious. Determination sets in as he gets ready for whatever comes next. He realizes that things almost went south for him, but in the end, his risky move actually worked out. out. He lets everyone know about his new author skill, a save function that makes him untouchable for 10 seconds. Honestly, it's like getting a game update that makes things way easier. Power surges through him as he rushes ahead, knowing this is his chance to go all out without holding back. He shouts out for letting her know it's time to get ready. They're about to fight back, and he wants her on alert. Stood there, power practically rolling off her. She looked at him with this serious vibe, expecting him to call her commander instead of just using her name. She lets loose a huge blast of ice magic, sending a freezing comet straight at their enemy. The blast hits straight on, freezing the skeleton general inside a thick block of ice. The vanguard just stands there, staring at the enemy they thought couldn't be beaten, now frozen completely still. Lets out a breath he didn't realize he was holding. It's finally done. The fight that seemed like it would never end is over. His eyes move over to the princess, and right away he can tell something isn't right with her. He spots standing by his frozen body, just staring at it. She seems deep in her own head, barely noticing anything around her. Even though they had just won, he noticed she still looked really bothered. He couldn't help but wonder what was weighing on her mind, even with everything going their way. She tells him how, right before the end, opened up to her and talked about his life. He was just a regular guy who passed away with his best friend. All he really wanted was to stay by his friend's side and finally get some peace. She tells him that he got pulled out of his grave and now has to serve forever, whether he likes it or not. He just wanted to go back home. That was all he asked for after the skeleton saved her life. His royal magic is on another level, she's sure of it. Wally isn't just on pause, he's completely done for. He steps up, wanting to give her something to hold on to. Even though it sounds almost impossible, he makes a promise, hoping it'll help her believe things might get better. He tries to calm her down, thinking that if he can beat the Skeleton King, he'll be able to get back too. Couldn't shake her doubts, but she still wanted to believe things would work out. The new recruit just seemed to know way more than anyone else, and that made it impossible for her to ignore him. Right then, a huge stone gate started to slide open with a deep rumble. The path ahead slowly came into view, showing everyone where they needed to go next. A bright portal showed up, lighting up the room and marking the way down to the dungeon's second floor. Nods, totally sure of himself, not even a hint of doubt in his eyes. Princess stands tall again, her confidence back. She doesn't hesitate as she steps forward and leads her team up to the next level, making sure everyone knows what to do. The group follows her lead, ready for whatever comes next. The vanguard heads down to the dungeon's second floor. The path ahead is long and full of dangers, but they keep moving, ready for whatever comes next. The soldiers weren't happy about hauling around those frozen skeletons. They clearly preferred their usual tasks, and couldn't help but think about how this definitely wasn't what they signed up for. Everything stops when a loud noise suddenly bounces through the air, making everyone in the line freeze. Princess paused, her eyes lighting up when she heard the sound. It was something she knew well, and for a moment her expression softened. A handful of soldiers stood together, surrounded by the huge, shadowy cavern. The place felt endless and empty, with only their footsteps echoing back at them. It was just them, facing the darkness, not sure what might be hiding out there. From up high, a huge skeletal dragon suddenly dives down, its scream echoing through the air and sending chills through everyone nearby. The creature slammed down hard, its claws scraping deep lines into the stone floor. The undead beast roared, its one red eye shining with an evil light. The soldiers freeze up, fear spreading across their faces as they come face to face with something they can't believe. All that confidence they had just disappears, and they're left standing there, completely overwhelmed by what's in front of them. Takes a deep breath and steadies himself. He knows things are about to get serious, and whatever happens next will really show what he's made of. He lets them know it's true. This is the boss of the second floor, a skeleton dragon. Out of nowhere, the beast let loose a powerful burst of blue energy. The attack hits the front line hard, and the soldiers break apart, running in all directions. The thing drags its claws across the cavern floor, leaving huge scratches behind. The ground looks torn up, showing just how strong it is. The soldiers left behind just stand there, frozen on the ledge. Even though they're out of harm's way for now, they can't look away from what's happening below. Their faces say it all. They're scared, stuck watching everything unfold and not sure what to do next. One of the lieutenants starts to freak out, realizing there's no chance he can beat the monster. Stands there totally calm, even with the dragon looking all-powerful right in front of him. He doesn't seem bothered by the dragon's strength at all. He starts to get anxious, thinking about how something random, like that paralyzing gem from before, might pop up again and mess things up. The dragon looks like it's getting ready to strike again, but he decides to hang back and see what happens next. Princess moved ahead of her group, determined to protect everyone. Ice started forming in front of her, building up into a solid wall. She looked focused, knowing her friends were counting on her. The dragon's breath slammed into her ice wall, blasting it apart in seconds. Shards scattered everywhere, and there was nothing left to hide behind. Lieutenant gets the mages together, pointing out that this monster doesn't have the usual shield. The mages all lifted their staves at the same time, getting ready to launch an attack together. They hit the giant skeleton monster with a blast of dark magic, throwing everything they've got at it. The hit lands, and suddenly everything's lit up with a burst of bright purple light. Stands off to the side, barely breathing. He watches, tense and anxious, hoping that when everyone put their strength together, it would actually work. At first, he thinks things might actually work out, but that disappears the second he sees what their attack has done. His stomach drops. Everything just feels wrong now. The dragon doesn't even have a scratch on it. All the magic thrown its way just got sucked up, like it didn't even matter. The creature swings its tail across the ground, and the cavern floor cracks apart under the force. Lieutenant Ella locked her eyes on, clearly expecting him to pull off something unexpected to turn things around. She looked like she wasn't messing around, and everyone could tell she wanted him to step up and do whatever it takes to win. Knows he wins because he's familiar with the characters, not because he's some big-brain strategist. He runs out of options, so he signals his squad to grab everything he needs from his shopping list. His guys are all set, looking like they can't wait to try out their new delivery. Last night, his squad gathered in front of the barracks vault. The place was quiet, just the sound of boots on the floor and everyone kind of hanging back, waiting to see what would happen next. They started to wonder if the mission made any sense. Sneaking out at midnight just to grab some gold magic crystal seemed risky, maybe even a little dumb, but nobody wanted to back down now. When the vault doors slid open, one of the soldiers couldn't help but stare at all the gold inside. He tried to play it cool, but anyone could tell he was getting way too into it, his thoughts running wild about grabbing some for himself. Their prize turns out to be this huge crystal, glowing bright and buzzing with energy. It looks powerful, almost like it's alive, and you can just tell it's not something you see every day. Everyone's attention is locked on it, curious and a little bit hyped about what it might do next. Back in the present, he lets everyone know that the dragon's weakness is actually how fast it moves. They really didn't want to let go of the crystals, but in the end, they drop them into the deep, dark gap below. The beast doesn't waste a second. Its red eye lights up, and it lets out a loud, angry roar that fills the air. The dragon drops out of the sky, so fast it barely looks real, just a streak of bones and rage tearing through the air. Starts talking about dragons. Everyone knows the story. Dragons are those greedy beasts that can't get enough of shiny things. Treasure is their obsession, and they'll do just about anything to get more of it. This one had been locked away for a long time, stuck with nothing to its name, and no way to stash anything valuable. The beast couldn't take its eyes off the gold crystals. It moved in closer, completely focused on them like nothing else mattered. One of his guys steps forward and lets loose a spell, his hand starting to glow with this bright gold light. A sharp beam of energy blasts out from the crystal, heading straight for the beast while it isn't paying attention. The blast hits its target, covering the dragon in flames as a huge explosion bursts out. Right in the middle of the explosion, one bright horn shoots out, spinning through the air. The object drops right in front of Sway, exactly like he wanted. Looks like that time spent shopping was actually worth it. He grabs the horn and signals too, letting her know it's time to freeze the rest of the dragon. Stops and looks around. He notices the way up to the third floor is still blocked. It hasn't opened yet, which makes him pause. He knows he can't move forward until something changes. As he starts to figure things out, a cold realization hits him. Out of the shadows, another dragon shows up, this one way bigger and scarier than the last. He suddenly freezes up when he notices something off. There's not just one dragon on this floor, there's two. This wasn't supposed to happen, and his mind starts racing, trying to figure out what went wrong. The new beast started powering up for its attack. That's when he noticed there weren't any gold crystals left. The dragon lets loose a huge blast of raw energy, tearing through everything in its path. The blast rips through the cavern, heading straight for the guys up front. He realizes there's nothing else he can do, so he yells out, telling everyone they need to get out fast. Panic hits the group, and people start scrambling to find a way out, not even looking back. Right before the blast could hit, a huge wall of ice shot up and blocked it. The guys in the vanguard watch as Princess stands her ground. She's not backing down, showing everyone just how strong she really is. She yells out, pushing all her magic into the wall in front of her, trying to hold back whatever's coming. The same soldiers who used to laugh at her were now cheering her on, impressed by how strong their commander had become. Ella notices how quickly he's switched sides, almost like the fight changed his mind in an instant. Even though stands out, Ella can't help but think that is the one she really can't figure out. Meanwhile, he's holding onto the glowing dragon horn, ready for whatever comes next. The air feels tense, like something big is about to happen, and he's not backing down. The horn started to buzz, almost like it could sense something going on in the cavern. He suddenly understands what the horn's reaction really means, and his stomach drops. Turns out the first dragon wasn't finished off like everyone thought. Instead, it started pulling itself back together, slowly coming back to life right in front of them. He yells out, hoping can freeze the bones fast, because if they don't move quick, they'll end up fighting two monsters at the same time. The princess shot him a serious look, making it clear she was doing everything she could to keep something dangerous under control. Bones that were spread out on the ground start to glow softly. One by one, they move toward each other, clicking into place as if drawn by some invisible force. The strange light makes the whole scene feel unreal, as the bones slowly piece themselves back together. Within a few seconds, the dragon's skull pulls itself back together. Its hollow eye socket faces straight into the darkness, as if it's searching for something. A wicked red glow flashes in its eye. The first dragon is awake again, ready to cause trouble. It pulls back without a sound, slipping right back into the chaos to stand with its monstrous twin. The second dragon lets out a deep roar, making everyone freeze. Now the front line is stuck, trapped right between both dragons, with no real way out. Stands with the last of his guys, looking around at his tired squad. In his hand, he holds the glowing horn, pretty much the only thing they've got left that could help. He stands there totally blank, trying to think of anything that could help him get out of this mess. His brain is running wild, searching for even the smallest chance to turn things around, but nothing comes to him. It's like he's stuck, knowing there's no way he can win right now. The first dragon swoops down, ready to attack, and just like that, the clock hits 0 for them. At the very last second, he comes up with an idea. It's risky, but it's the only shot he's got left. He looks over at his teammates and tells everyone to grab each other's hands, pulling out that old team building move everyone knows. Lieutenant couldn't believe what he just heard. Right away, confusion hit him and he needed to know what was going on. The order sounded weird and it just didn't sit right with him, so he wanted answers. Yells back, desperate to get the point across. If they mess this up, they might not make it. The soldiers look around, realizing there's nothing else they can do. Even though none of them really want to, they end up grabbing each other's hands, not sure what's coming next. The whole squad links arms, standing shoulder to shoulder. Most of them look pretty tense. Some guys are clearly freaking out a bit, while others just seem lost, not sure what's going on. He reaches out to Princess, holding out his hand so they can finish the circle together. He looks at her, hoping she'll believe in him when it really matters. Hangs back for a second, looking unsure. But then her face changes. She looks determined, like she's made up her mind and nothing's going to stop her now. Tries out his new author skill called Hide. It's pretty much like hitting a keyboard shortcut, and suddenly he's invisible. The first dragon swooped down, only to find the cavern totally empty. The second dragon stares, totally lost, as its prey suddenly disappears right in front of it. The two skeletal dragons glide around the empty cavern, scanning the shadows for any sign of who they were chasing. Their bony wings scrape softly against the air, and their hollow eyes stay locked on the darkness, hoping their prey will slip up and reveal itself. The cave stays quiet, but the tension hangs heavy while the dragons don't let their guard down. One of the beasts hit the ground hard, its claws scratching loud against the stone. The creature stands right over the hidden group, not even noticing they're there. Lets out a quiet breath, surprised that his risky move actually paid off. The soldiers can't hide how pumped they are. Just a few minutes ago, they weren't sure about this guy, but now they can't stop cheering for him. He quickly lets everyone know there's just 20 seconds left to take down both dragons. He leans in close to the princess, quietly sharing his latest idea. She listens, but her face shows she's not sure it'll actually work. The dragon looked around, getting more and more frustrated as it couldn't find what it was looking for. Its confusion quickly switched to anger, and it started thrashing about, clearly fed up with the search going nowhere. One of the guys notices something strange on the ground. It's the horn from the other creature, still glowing. The thing drops next to the horn, pulled in by the magic it recognizes. Suddenly the cover fades away, and everyone can see what's really there. A huge, shiny wall of ice. It's so clear and tall that it catches the eye instantly, making it obvious this is all part of their next big trap. Stuck with the plan, the dragon, thinking it saw another dragon, totally fell for the trick and got distracted by its own reflection. Princess steps up and takes charge, signaling her lieutenants to hold the beast down. Lieutenant lets out a loud cheer, pumped up to back up his commander. He's ready to jump into action, fired up and full of energy, wanting to keep up with the guy in charge. Lieutenant Ella nods, her attitude shifting. The disrespect she showed before is gone, replaced by a serious look. Now she's all in, focused, and ready to get the job done. Even Sway steps back and accepts her lead, lining up with everyone else. Princess looked at her team, everyone finally standing together. She gave the signal, making it clear it was time to fight. The dragon's anger boils over, and it smashes the ice mirror into pieces. It's clearly done playing games. Doesn't hesitate. She steps up and calls on her power, sending out a massive wall of ice that just keeps growing. It's like she's putting everything she's got into keeping everyone safe, not holding back at all. The beast can't move anymore, locked tight inside a huge block of shining crystal. Lieutenant Doler pumps pumped his fist, pretty sure that one of the dragons had finally been taken out. He couldn't hide how fired up he was, thinking maybe the tide was turning. Right then, a system warning appears on the screen. Stealth skill isn't ready yet, it's still on. He just stands there, annoyed at how things turned out. The one way he thought he could get out of this mess is gone now, and there's nothing he can do about it. The vanguard stands in front of the huge tomb of ice. It looks like they've won. The ice starts to split apart, sharp cracks spreading fast. Inside, the skeleton dragon breaks free, smashing through what held it back. The soldiers groaned, annoyed that these undead monsters just kept coming. No matter what they did, the creatures wouldn't stay down, and it was starting to get on everyone's nerves. The second dragon slams its claws down, clearly ticked off after seeing its twin get hit. Notices the last beast getting even more worked up. Clearly, their moves just made things worse. Now the creature looks ready to go off, and can already tell things are about to get even more intense. Lieutenant Doller doesn't hesitate. He pushes ahead, set on taking on the monster himself. He jumps up high, swinging his huge weapon down at the angry dragon. His blade swings straight at the beast, but it just passes through like the creature isn't even there. The ground underneath cracks and breaks apart from the force, chunks of rock flying everywhere. Doller just stands there, totally thrown off. He can't figure out how he missed that attack. It's like his mind is racing, replaying what happened, but he still doesn't get it. The dragon comes back together right behind him, its icy body turning solid again. Lieutenant Ella shouts out his name, trying to warn him before it's too late. It was already too late. The dragon's jaws snapped shut, trapping the lieutenant inside. Struggles as the pressure gets worse, almost like it's about to smash him flat. Rushing in head first clearly wasn't the best move. The beast shifts its focus to the vanguard, still holding tight to the person it caught. The thing shot up, lifting the lieutenant off the ground and dragging him straight toward the top of the cavern. He couldn't do anything to stop it, just got pulled higher and higher while everyone else watched, not sure what to do. The dragon spread its jaws wide, letting go of its prey. The helpless figure dropped, hitting the hard stone floor below. He slammed into the ground hard, the impact leaving no doubt about what just happened. Lieutenant was sprawled out, not moving, his axe lying far from where he landed. One of the soldiers completely loses it when he sees how fast the dragon moves. He just can't wrap his head around it and ends up yelling, frozen in place, as the creature tears across the battlefield. Realized he didn't have any more moves left. The only thing they had going for them before was catching everyone off guard, and now that was gone. Right when he's ready to quit, a system window pops up in front of him, showing a breakdown of his points. He stares at the number on the screen, not believing what he's seeing. He never realized he had something like this before. At the same time, the skeletal dragon swoops down again, moving fast and looking even more dangerous than before. Its bony body slices through the air, aiming straight for its target. Princess spots danger and panics, sure that something terrible is about to happen to him. Her heart races as she tries to get his attention, hoping he'll react in time. Just grins to himself, already thinking up a new plan. Just stands there, totally thrown off by how confident he suddenly looks. Even though this sort of thing happens a lot, it still catches her off guard every time. The dragon's strike crashes down hard, smashing the ground and blasting chunks of rock in every direction. The dragon steps out from the thick cloud of dust, its red eyes shining with a dangerous look. The creature locks eyes with him, and in that moment, it's clear things are about to get dangerous. Moves quick, dropping onto its back just in time to avoid getting hit. He quickly figures out that he didn't mean to move that fast. It just kind of happened because of his new stats. He thinks back to all the monsters he's taken down, and it hits him. He's actually been collecting points the whole time without really noticing. He puts everything he's got into agility, just hoping it'll help him keep up with the dragon. He stands a little taller now, thinking maybe this accident isn't the end of the world. Instead of freaking out, he starts to see a way to turn things around, almost like leveling up after a fail in a game. There's this spark in him, and he figures he might as well make the best out of the situation. He squints, locking in on what's coming at him. Running isn't an option, so he decides to face it head-on. If he can't get away, he'll just have to take control, like trying to ride something wild. He pushes his blade hard into the dragon's back, hoping it'll give him an edge. The beast goes wild, kicking and twisting, doing everything it can to shake off the surprise rider clinging to its back. He charges at the skeletal beast, swinging his fists and feet as fast as he can. Every hit lands hard, the sound echoing in the air. He's putting everything he's got into each strike, not holding back for a second. He moves so fast it's hard to keep track, his sword cutting into the dragon again and again, slowly breaking it down. His friends just stand there, totally lost, trying to figure out how he got so insanely quick out of nowhere. His squad doesn't look surprised. Instead, they're hyped, backing up their leader and showing how much they believe in him. Watches as he pulls out one clever move after another, impressed by how he always seems ready for anything. She gets ready to jump in and back him up with her own magic, determined to help out in the fight. Lifted his hand, letting his commander know to pause. He points out that the dragon isn't healing fast, so there's actually a shot at talking things out. The princess just freezes. This whole thing, trying to to talk things out with a talking pile of bones definitely isn't something she ever trained for as royalty. He looked down at the broken skull, almost like he was letting the beast know it was over. There was no point in fighting back anymore. The battle was already decided. He lets it decide what happens next, either get frozen by the princess or give in and start serving him. He tells the beast what he wants, asking it to move its paw if it's willing to follow him. Just like that, the Vanguard crew scored a new way to reach the third-floor entrance. Grinned, looking pretty pleased with himself as he nodded at his new skeleton dragon. The dragon, now under his control, stood there waiting for his next move. Felt a rush of pride. He'd managed to pull this off and couldn't help but enjoy the moment. The monster that used to scare everyone now waits in front of him, looking ready for whatever its master wants next. His friends just stand there watching. Ella looks like she's finally hit her limit. She's not even surprised anymore. He wanted to borrow the dragon's horn, saying he'd give it back after the last battle. His hands started to light up as he pulled energy from the legendary artifact. Princess showed up wearing fresh armor, looking determined. She decided it was finally time to face him and find out what was really going on with how he'd been acting lately. She wants answers. She notices he's been picking up boss items, even though he just asked her to trust him with everything. His face turns serious as he understands there's no point hiding things anymore. The truth has to come out now, whether he likes it or not. He turns to the group and lets them know he needs their trust just once more. Lieutenant was just done with all the secrets. At this point, he really wanted to know what was actually going on and what the real plan was. Finally let everyone know what was really going on. Turns out, those boss items were the only shot anyone had at beating the Skeleton King. Without them, there wasn't much hope. Lieutenant Ella looks unsure, not really convinced that the stuff in front of her is actually that important. She glances over everything, her eyebrows low, clearly wondering if they even need all of it. He nods, saying that's exactly why Prince Rods is stuck on the last floor right now. The portal to the next level just sits there, looking all important, but if you don't have the keys, you're stuck. There's no going back and no way forward either. It's basically a dead end until you figure out how to unlock it. Figures out that her brother's army has fallen straight into the king's trap. Now they're stuck, forced to do whatever the king wants with no way out. He lets everyone know that the whole dungeon is basically a huge, dangerous setup designed to mess with anyone who enters. But instead of calming her down, his explanation just makes Lieutenant Ella even more mad. She storms over and yanks him up by the collar, looking like she's about to lose it. She blames him for not sharing what he knew, saying people could have been saved if he'd just spoken up. Stays cool and looks her in the eye, thinking about how things have changed. He wonders if she would trusted what he said just 2 days earlier before everything started to shift. He worked hard and fought to climb the ranks, knowing nobody would respect him otherwise. He lets her know that in this world, the only thing people really listen to is strength. Princess steps in before things get heated, making it clear that arguing right now isn't going to help anyone. Once she gave the order, the Vanguard moved forward, stepping right into the glowing purple portal. As they step onto the dungeon's third floor, the swirling energy pulls them in. It's like walking into a place where everything changes. Lights flicker, the air feels heavier, and there's this buzz that makes their skin prickle. Every step gets a little harder, like the place itself wants to see what they're made of. Steps out first and gets blasted by the crazy heat right away. The guys end up on this tight path, with fire and lava all around them, like the ground could drop out any second. It's the kind of place where your heart starts beating faster, and every step feels risky. Just then, someone shouts from below, making everyone look toward the cliffs. Skeletons started clawing their way up from the burning ground below. They moved fast, bones clacking together, all heading straight for the surface like they had one job to do: attack. It looked like trouble was about to hit, and no one wanted to be caught off guard. The soldiers barely had a moment to breathe before the undead started climbing up, coming at them from every direction. They tried to stand their ground, pushing back against the wave of bodies, but it was tough. Every second, more and more of those creatures clawed their way up, and the soldiers could feel themselves getting pushed back, fighting just to keep the line from breaking. Princess was already building up a huge surge of power. She sends a huge blast of ice magic crashing down into the burning gap below. The skeletons that were clawing their way up suddenly freeze solid, stopped right where they are. The whole horde ends up frozen in a thick layer of ice, then drops straight down into the lava below. Now that the way ahead was open, the guys up front moved forward, crossing the skinny, sketchy bridge. Each step was careful, since one wrong move could send someone down. No one wanted to look nervous, but everyone kept their eyes on where they were going, not saying much as they made their way across. Lieutenant Ella started thinking about the stories she'd heard, wondering if the fire god everyone talked about had actually been captured by the king too. The idea stuck in her mind, making her question what was really going on behind the scenes. Sue realizes her worries are real. She knows this moment is going to be tough for the Ice Princess, probably the hardest challenge she's faced so far. Just then, a creepy laugh rolls out from the shadows up ahead. A figure in a robe steps out, surrounded by flames. Everyone can tell right away that this is someone serious. He points out as the next in line for the ice god's power. It's clear to everyone watching. The main boss has just made his entrance. The fiery figure let him know there were only two ways to beat the undead. Either freeze them solid or break them down completely. Suddenly yells out, trying to get attention before something bad happens. He's clearly worried, hoping notices in time. The robed figure raised his arms, and out came a blast of fire, aiming straight for the princess. The flames rushed forward, hot and wild, ready to burn everything in their path. Fire suddenly shoots across the narrow bridge, heading straight for her. The blast hits right where she was standing, lighting up the whole area with a huge explosion. Flames and smoke swallow the spot, making it impossible to see anything for a moment. Everyone nearby can feel the heat and the ground shaking underneath them. Lieutenant stands there, frozen, as flames light up the scene. All he can do is call out her name, his voice lost in the chaos. The fire burns in front of him, and he just watches, helpless. As the smoke faded away, he looked around and his stomach dropped. The princess was gone. He hurries over to where the path drops off, his eyes scanning the mess below, hoping to spot his commander somewhere in the chaos. His eyes go wide when he spots something coming up from deep below. A giant golden skeleton snake suddenly rises up, its bones sparking with some kind of dark power. Seeing this monster, it's finally clear what the whole refining thing was about. Right when things look like they're about to go south, shows up with both rolling in on their new ride. They showed up with the boss from the second floor, all set to throw down. The fiery figure looked caught off guard when he spotted them. He looked even more thrown when he noticed what they were riding. He looks at the dragon, confused about why it suddenly switched sides. The dragon pulls back, looking uneasy around its old master. Loyalty clearly isn't its thing. Steadied his horse, giving it a quick pat like he was telling it there was no turning back now. He knew they had to keep moving, no matter what was up ahead. He looks over at, but she seems totally spaced out, not paying attention to anything around her. He says her name one more time, hoping she'll snap out of it. She's just standing there, totally zoned out, and he's starting to get a little concerned. He notices that she's thinking back to an old fight, that famous showdown between the gods of ice and fire. Sam, the god of fire, was in the middle of a fight. He couldn't help but throw some shade at his old rival, pointing out how the guy had been laying low for more than 50 years. The ice god just wants things to calm down. Deep down, he never meant for his powers to hurt anyone. They were supposed to make life better, not cause trouble. The god of fire didn't care for long speeches or waiting around. He was ready to get things started and wanted the duel to begin right away. The disciples stand off to the side, keeping an eye on the action. The ones who follow the ice master are easy to spot. They're the loudest, hyping up their teacher with cheers and excited looks. The followers of the fire god laughed at their rivals, always making fun of the ice god and calling him weak. The group stood together, totally sure that Sam was going to win. They didn't even think twice about it. Every one of them looked confident, almost like the outcome was already set. It was clear they had a lot of faith in Sam, and nothing seemed to shake their belief. The young disciple stared back, her eyes steady and cold. Even now, she didn't doubt her master for a second. The two gods went head-to-head, neither one backing down. Fire and ice crashed together, lighting up the sky as they pushed their powers to the limit. It was impossible to tell who had the upper hand. They seemed completely equal, both determined not to lose. While the fight keeps going, the god of fire starts to lose ground. Little by little, he just can't keep up, and eventually he goes down beaten. Right when he's about to win, the ice god pauses. He could finish things, but something holds him back. Even with the win in his grasp, he can't bring himself to go through with it. The god of fire spots his rival slipping up and doesn't waste a second. He takes control of the fight and finishes his opponent right then and there. The ice god goes down, taken out just when no one expected it. He'd always tried to do the right thing, but it didn't matter in the end. His good heart got him killed. The princess couldn't shake off what happened during the duel in the grand arena. It lingered in her mind, popping up when she least expected it. Even when she tried to focus on other things, the memory always found a way back, making her chest tighten a little every time she thought about it. This place had one rule everyone understood: stay in the game until there's nobody left but you. After everything that happened, a lot of the ice god's followers started to doubt him. Some couldn't take it anymore and decided to leave. That day, who used to walk around with her head held high, felt her confidence just drain away. Funny enough, after winning, the fire god went straight to challenge the skeleton king himself. He walked into the canyon and just disappeared. Nobody saw him after that, so things clearly didn't end well for him. Back in the present, the enslaved gods come charging straight at them. The blast hits straight on, flames exploding around the dragon and the people riding it. Brings her back to the moment, making sure she remembers the real reason they're both here. He lets her know she didn't come just to be brave, to help out, or even just for her brother. He wondered if the only reason she showed up was because she was seriously mad. He keeps pushing, trying to find out if it bothers her when people call her useless or act like she's not good enough. Squints, not really wanting to agree, but deep down she knows he's got a point. While the others got caught up in their therapy session, the fire god stood off to the side, confused about why no one was paying him any attention. He watched them, kind of annoyed, trying to figure out what was so interesting that they'd forget he was even there. Encourages her to use that anger, turning it into the power she needs to stand up to their enemy. She thinks back to the ones who turned on her and those who always acted like they were better than everyone else. Just remembering them makes her blood boil. He smiles, knowing he's just as mad as she is. The fire god's patience finally runs out during their pep talk. He's over it, not interested in hearing any more of their speeches. He throws out another huge fireball, clearly done with talking and just wanting to finish things for good. The fire god sends out a huge ball of blazing fire, burning with so much power it looks like it could wipe out anything in its path. The attack rushed in, looking like it would wipe out everything in its path. Turned to and urged her to let loose. He wanted her to show everyone just how powerful she could be, pushing her to go all out. His words landed, and something changed in her eyes. Suddenly, she looked more determined than before, like she'd just made up her mind about something important. Stands there, cold energy practically rolling off her. She steps up and faces him, making it clear he needs to move. That therapy session must paid off because she looks way more confident now. She goes all out, launching her most powerful move. Ice explodes everywhere, freezing the whole place in an instant. When the two forces hit each other, everything goes white for a second. The flash is so bright, it's almost impossible to see what's happening. The fire god just laughed it off, totally confident. He didn't look even a little worried, almost like he thought her master wouldn't stand a chance against him either. Pushes herself as hard as she can, trying to hold back the overwhelming force. Her magic is almost at its breaking point. The fireball blasts right past her guard, way too strong for her to stop. The fireball rages toward them, burning with wild energy. It looks like it could wipe out everything in its path, and anyone nearby can feel the heat and danger. Panics and urges their bony mount to move aside as fast as possible. The dragon moves, trying to dodge, but the attack comes at it way too quickly. Down on the ledge, the vanguard stares up at their leaders. They know things aren't looking good. The danger is real, and there's not much hope left. No one says anything, but everyone's tense, waiting to see what'll happen next. Right when it seems like nothing's going to happen, finally steps up. He jumps off the dragon's back and runs straight into the fire. He moves fast, cutting through the air as he tries to block the attack coming at him. He jumps right over the burst of flames, moving way faster than anyone would expect. All that time spent leveling up his agility is finally making a difference. He hits the ground on the other side just as the blast goes off behind him. He steps in front of Princess, getting himself ready to block whatever comes at her next. The fire god barely looks impressed. He just lifts his hand, and suddenly a bunch of fireballs shoot out, coming straight at them. It's like he's testing if they can even keep up or know how to move out of the way. Fireballs rip through the air, blasting everything in their path. Lieutenant shouted out, pushing the mages to hurry up and get into position. He wanted them to stand together and block whatever was coming. Everyone could sense the pressure, and the mages scrambled to line up, trying to look tougher than they felt. They team up, putting their strength together to build a huge magical shield that covers the guys up front. Dolar realizes this fix won't last. Even with their magic together, it's nothing compared to what a god can do. The purple shield, which had always looked strong and complicated, started to break apart as the attack kept coming. Little cracks showed up, spreading across its surface, and it was clear it wouldn't last much longer. His expression sinks when he sees that their final try didn't work. The shield broke apart, leaving the vanguard wide open. The attack hit them straight on, knocking them back hard. Duller gets swallowed up by the fire, and at first he tries to fight back, but the pain quickly takes over. All that tough energy fades, and it's clear he's hurting way more than he expected. Lieutenant Ella gets caught up in the explosion too. The fire hits her fast, and she can't help but yell as the heat and flames close in around her. Princess drifts off, stuck thinking about what happened before. She can't help but feel like it's her fault that everything's happening all over again. One of the younger disciples couldn't understand why her master just stood there, not stepping up to take the challenge. She kept looking over, eyebrows furrowed, impatient and confused, waiting for some kind of answer. It just didn't make sense to her, and the uncertainty was starting to get to her. The ice god, all wrapped up in his robes, looked at his student, trying to figure out why she wanted him to go up against the fire god. She lets him know that their rivals have been talking trash, calling him a coward and disrespecting their whole crew. He stays cool and explains that their enemies plan things to play out just like this. The disciple stands her ground, determined to keep her master's name out of trouble. She doesn't want anyone talking bad about him or twisting the story, so she's doing everything she can to make sure people see him the right way. The ice god lets out a long sigh. He can see that even his most loyal follower couldn't resist getting pulled into the mess. It's clear that no one is immune to this kind of pressure, not even the ones he thought would stand firm. She's pumped about his choice, not even thinking about what might happen next. When you're young, it's easy to get caught up in the excitement and forget that things can go sideways. The view changes to a huge arena, the place where the big fight is about to go down. The memory fades out on a sad note. The disciple sits there, crying as she holds her master's empty robes. Deep down, she realizes her own pride played a part in what happened to him. The ice god let his student know she wasn't at fault. Before he left, all he wanted was for her to find happiness in her life. The young disciple can't stop thinking about what happened. Guilt weighs on her, and she can't focus on her studies at all. Everything else just fades into the background. She couldn't hold back her tears anymore. Regret hit her hard, and she just broke down, realizing what she'd done. She finds a letter that someone had kept out of sight, something she wasn't supposed to see. The message came from the god of fire, finally clearing up what really happened during the duel. He handed over the fire spirit, saying it would help her heal after she got hurt by that forbidden magic. It was basically using her need for help to get what he wanted. Classic move. Everyone knew there was a catch to all this kindness. The deal was he had to fight out in the open, right where everyone could watch. It wasn't private or quiet. People gathered around, eyes glued to every move, waiting to see what would happen. The last rule was simple. The ice god had to let himself lose on purpose. She figures out that her master gave up everything, his life and his reputation, just to protect her. Right now, all that guilt and anger inside her kicks in, making her even stronger as she goes all out with her best move. She remembers how the forbidden spell went wrong, almost trapping her in ice for good. Right when things were about to get out of hand, her master stepped in and shut down the magic before it could do any real damage. He stepped in just in time, slipping a glowing artifact into her hand. She stared at it, totally lost, not sure what was going on or why he picked her to help. He handed her the gift and wanted her to wear it, hoping it would help her get better after what happened. She realizes now that gift was only given to her because someone paid for it with their own life. It hits her that his death happened because of her, and all the weight of that truth settles on her shoulders. Right now, the fire god can't help but laugh. He's totally sure he's about to win, like the whole thing is already over in his mind. His laugh doesn't last long. Out of nowhere, something powerful sweeps through the cavern, making the air feel heavier. Princess finally lets loose, showing everyone what she's really capable of. Ice starts to blast out around her, freezing everything in her path. The air gets colder, and before anyone knows it, a wild chill sweeps through, covering the ground in frost that just keeps spreading. The fire god spots her, and remembers who she is, the student who messed around with magic she wasn't supposed to touch. Eyes narrow, and there's this icy anger in her stare. It's clear she remembers everything between them, and honestly, that's going to make what comes next a whole lot easier. Sue could tell this was one of those big moments in the story, the kind that could change everything. He knew he had to get ready for whatever was coming next. The fire god notices the way magic starts to build up. The energy comes together in a pattern he's seen before, something he recognizes right away. He spots the hand signs and instantly knows it's for Endless Freeze, the legendary spell everyone talks about. He just rolls his eyes, already sure that spell won't do much. In the back of his mind, he's guessing she's got something else up her sleeve. Eyes lit up with a strange energy as she tapped into her true strength, letting out her ultimate move, Absolute Zero. Sue spots the name and instantly knows what it means. That's the last big spell he designed for her character, the one he put a lot of effort into. The fire god lets everyone know that this spell comes from someone even higher up, someone legendary who was the master of both gods. Back in the huge library, it turns out this spell is that hard to learn compared to other advanced magic. Honestly, even someone who had never tried it before could pick up the technique just by reading about it. It almost seemed unreal. Here's the thing, using Absolute Zero isn't just any spell. It actually means giving up a lot, maybe even everything. This isn't something you just bounce back from. It's the kind of move you only make when you've got no other choice. Using the spell came at a heavy cost. Whoever cast it would lose their own soul, ending up frozen just like the person they were trying to stop. Just couldn't let things end like this. He started looking everywhere, doing whatever he could think of to find a way to help her. He wasn't ready to give up, not now. He shouts for Lieutenant, wanting him to move fast and follow his orders. Dust bursts into the air as the lieutenant moves, sticking to what he was told without even hesitating. Lets everyone know he's finished the job. He looks kind of thrown off, like he's still running on adrenaline and not sure what just happened. The fire god just stands there, frozen, as he notices something strange. The soldiers he thought he wiped out with his flames are still on their feet, almost like nothing happened. It doesn't make any sense, and for a second he just can't process what he's seeing. The whole Vanguard team was still standing, looking totally fine. Even Dolar couldn't help but wonder how that was possible. He doesn't really want to say it, but he knows it's true. Without, none of them would made it. He realizes sometimes you just have to give credit where it's due. Respect matters. The way was open now, so the Vanguard got ready to step through the portal and see what waited for them on the next level. Steps in front of Dolar and blocks his path, looking serious. He makes it clear that things aren't finished yet, there's still more to settle. The scene jumps back in time to and gave Dolar a strange spell formation. The lieutenant watches the swordsman, not really buying it. He wonders how this guy, who's supposed to just swing a sword around, seems to know all this stuff about magic. It doesn't add up for him, and he can't help but side-eye the whole thing. Stayed cool, already guessing who they'd face next. A fire mage who was known to be seriously strong. Dolar couldn't hide how surprised he was, his reaction obvious to anyone watching. He lets them know the spell will suck up any fire that comes their way. But before they use it, they have to pretend to be weaker than they really are, just so no one gets suspicious. The mages got together and put up that same shield everyone just saw a little while ago. They just let it break, acting like they got totally wrecked by the explosion. When the enemy thinks he's already won and starts to relax, the secret spell kicked in right as the fire magic hit, pulling in all the energy before it could do any damage. Dolar just stands there, totally stunned. He never expected this new guy to keep up with him, let alone block every move he tried. As heads out, Dolar can't help but get worked up, frustrated by how the kid keeps showing him up without even trying. The skeleton dragon, now powered up thanks to his magic, steps forward and gets ready to take on the fire god. His eyes light up bright and intense. She goes all in, pushing herself to the limit as she uses her last, most powerful spell, Absolute Zero, even though she knows it could cost her everything. A huge wave of purple energy rushed forward, blasting out like a storm made of ice magic. The fire god doesn't back down. He answers right away, launching his strongest move, the Hellfire Precept. Both sides crash into each other, and everything lights up in a massive, blinding blast. The fire god burned with anger, not understanding why they kept standing against him even now, when all that was left of him was just bones and fire. Doesn't hold back. She points at him, blaming him for what happened, and making it clear that she thinks he's just trying to avoid owning up to his part in the mess. Her power builds up fast, pushing past the point where she could turn back. Suddenly calls out Dolar's name, letting everyone know he's about to make his move. The lieutenant waits with the mages, keeping an eye out for a sign from the guy he just called out. He stays focused, not letting his guard down, and the group stands together, ready for whatever comes next. Lifts the glowing red crystal, staring at it with wide eyes. He can hardly believe their wild plan actually pulled through. The light from the crystal shines on his face, and for a second he just stands there, taking it all in. He sets his jaw, focuses, and throws the fire core hard across the cavern, not holding anything back. Snatches the object out of the air, not taking his eyes off the magical duel happening in front of him. He steps up behind Princess and carefully puts the glowing necklace around her neck. He tells her that the fire core is there to keep her safe from the curse that comes with the spell. He tells her to keep her head in the game, making it clear that all the explanations can wait until after the fight's over. The fire core suddenly lights up, sending a burst of energy through the princess. She can feel the power rushing inside her, almost like an electric current. It's intense, but she stands her ground, gripping as the strength builds. The fire god lets out a furious roar when he realizes someone just used his own power against him. His Absolute Zero spell, powered up with the fire core, starts to fight back against the raging flames. The vanguard starts to relax as the fire god's strength fades. Everyone looks relieved, glad that the worst seems to be over. Some of the guys quietly nod to themselves, knowing they pulled through thanks to the help they got. There's this sense of teamwork, like they all just made it through a tough game together and can finally breathe again. Can tell things are going a little too smoothly. He remembers there's a twist in the story he came up with, and it's probably about to hit. Fire and ice kept crashing into each other, each side refusing to back down. The heat and cold filled the air, making it impossible for anyone to ignore the battle. The fire god just watches, powerless, as his own strength turns against him. He can't do anything to stop it. All he can do is burn with frustration while his own fire pushes him down. Lieutenant noticed the opening and didn't waste a second. He pulled the front line together, his focus clear. Everyone around him could feel the energy shift. This was the moment they'd been waiting for. With leading, the squad braced themselves and surged forward, ready to give it everything they had for one last big push. Princess narrowed her eyes and put everything she had into her next move. She could feel her magic draining fast, but she didn't hold back. Every bit of power she had left went straight into her attack, determined to make it count. Out of nowhere, starts to feel uneasy. It's like a weird tension settles in his chest, making him think something isn't right. He thinks back to the basics of every story he's heard. Heroes never just walk in and win right away. It always gets tough first. He suddenly notices that the skeleton dragon is starting to get back one of its old powers that everyone thought was lost. At the very last moment, the fire god decides to try one more thing. He reaches out for help, bringing out a secret weapon he's kept hidden until now. A huge creature made of fire burst out from the crack in the ground, showing up the moment its master called. It turned out little Chirpy wasn't just some harmless pet bird. Suddenly freezes up when he notices something from his old story popping up again, something he totally forgot about. His heart races as he tries to remember if he missed anything else, worried about what might happen next. Back when the fire god was younger, he came across a strange egg. He didn't just leave it there. He took his time, making sure it was safe and warm until it finally cracked open. The creature popped out, making non-stop chirping sounds. That's how it ended up with the basic name, Little Chirpy. But it didn't take long before the class president, known as the Ice God, found out about his secret pet. The fire god really hoped the ice god would keep quiet, but the ice god went straight to their master and told on him anyway. So much for sticking together. They gave the signal to let the creature go, even though he figured it probably wouldn't last long out there by itself. Even though the fire god hardly ever got a break, he still managed to slip away into the woods whenever he could. He always made sure to bring something for his pet, quietly taking care of it when no one was watching. He moves through the forest, his voice rising as he searches, sounding more and more desperate with every step. Little Chirpy showed up, and it became clear that the fire god's guilt slowly turned into a strong dislike for the ice god. The story suggests that the ice gods had more going on than just sticking to the rules. It turns out the ice god wasn't really following any rules. He was just acting out because he was jealous. Everyone at the dojo knew he was this favorite, always getting the kind of attention you'd give your own kid. People looked up to him, and some even got a little jealous. But all that praise started to weigh on him, making him feel like he couldn't mess up, not even once. Unlike everyone else, the fire god didn't bother following the rules. He acted like he didn't care about anything, so the higher-ups decided to send him straight to the isolation room. He kept taking care of Little Chirpy in secret, even though he wasn't supposed to have the pet. The ice god watched the fire god from a distance, realizing he was the one stuck and unable to do what he wanted. Deep down, he wished he could be as free as the fire god, moving around without any limits. The more he thought about it, the more he started to envy how easily the fire god seemed to live. The fire god, annoyed and hurt by what happened, decided he was going to ruin everything his rival cared about. Suddenly, the view changes, and now the whole backstory is playing out on a phone screen. Just stands there, totally thrown off. None of this matches the story he actually wrote. His editor tells him that villains are way more interesting when they've got sad backstories. That's just how good stories work, or so he says. The editor left him with two options. He could either get rid of the whole arc or change things up, so the ice god ended up looking like the one who got hurt. Back when was younger, he started to wonder if people reading his stuff were looking for something deeper. He didn't really want to overthink it, but the thought kept coming back. He realized that if he deleted the arc, the story just wouldn't be as interesting. He figured it was better than sticking with a story that didn't feel like his anymore. Back in the present, he lets out a loud yell, annoyed at himself as it hits him that his old decisions are causing trouble now. At the same time, his skeleton dragon, now a lot stronger, let out a deep roar. It looked fired up and totally ready to take on the beast covered in flames. Saw the attack coming fast and yelled at his mount, trying to get it to move out of the way. His heart raced as he held on tight, hoping they'd be quick enough to avoid getting hit. The fire god gets caught in his freezing attack, surrounded by a blast so cold it looks like the flames are being swallowed up by ice. The attack tears through the cavern floor, leaving behind a trail of wreckage as rocks and dust scatter everywhere. The god stepped out of the smoke, brushing off bits of ice from his shoulders. He looked kind of annoyed, clearly not happy about getting frozen. That one attack definitely didn't take him out like everyone hoped. The monster lets out a loud roar, its mouth starting to glow as it pulls in energy, building up for a powerful attack. Looks at Little Chirpy and suddenly gets it. This is what the bird looks like all grown up. The power coming off Little Chirpy now is intense, almost matching the strength of the Skeleton King. The beast lets loose its attack, sending out a blinding beam that completely covers their bony mount, and go flying through the air, totally out of control. The dragon they were riding turns into a wild missile, and there's nothing they can do to stop it. The fire god stands there, eyes fixed on his old pet getting thrown hard across the cavern. He freezes for a second when he sees the wild dragon charging right at him. His heart races. This definitely isn't how things are supposed to go. Even though they're on the same side, things just got dangerous fast. The dragon crashed into the ledge like something huge just dropped out of the sky, and slammed into the ground, barely making it through the rough landing. Their bodies were sore and scraped up, but at least they were still breathing. For a second, everything was quiet, and they just tried to catch their breath, trying to figure out if anything was broken. The fire god, furious about all the chaos going down, decides it's time to finish things for good. Princess stands up to face him, her eyes cold and determined, like she's ready to freeze out anything in her way. Little Chirpy, the huge beast, roared so loud that everyone at the front could hear it. Lieutenant doesn't back down. He steps up and gets the soldiers ready to push back, making sure everyone knows it's time to fight back. Wei suddenly shouts for everyone to stop, his face turning pale as panic takes over. He tells everyone to stop what they're doing right away. The beast towered over the group, its presence impossible to ignore. He shot a quick look at his friends, hoping they'd get the message to stay back. His heart pounded as he tried to keep everyone out of trouble, not wanting anyone to jump in and make things worse. He notices how things are starting to shift around him. The small edits his editor made aren't just staying on the page, they're actually messing with the real world. It hits him that every little change is making things different than they should be. In the story he put together, little Chirpy didn't make the cut. He took the character out to keep things simple. The fire god ended up looking like a plain bad guy who just used to take out his enemy. With Chirpy still around, things were different now. It turns out getting rid of a character isn't as easy as just pressing a button. Now the fire god and the ice god act nothing like they did in his original story. Their personalities have totally changed, and it throws him off every time he sees them. He notices little Chirpy is still around, and that gives him some hope. Maybe the fire god isn't completely lost after all. He shouts at Princess, hoping she'll stop what she's doing. She snaps right back, her anger showing. She stands her ground, pretty much letting everyone know she's the only one with enough strength to take him down. Even the fire god looks lost, trying to figure out what this kid is up to. He doesn't pay any attention to the god and instead looks over at. He's got some serious questions on his mind, and's left a bit confused, not really sure what's going on or why he's suddenly focusing on her like that. He wonders if her master, the ice god, ever talked about having any regrets. She wonders why he's bringing this up now, but he keeps pushing, wanting to know what she really thinks. Her face changes when an old memory hits her, one that clearly still hurts. Back when was younger, she had a secret. She actually took care of a monster, keeping it as her hidden pet. Her master found out what she was hiding, took the creature away, and that crushed her. She made up her mind to sneak into her master's office and grab it back. She leaned closer, trying to see what was going on inside. Through the gap in the door, something caught her eye, something she never thought she'd see there. The ice god made sure her pet, which had been taken away earlier, still got something to eat. He watched it closely, trying to see if it was happy with the food. She stormed in and called out her master for acting like a hypocrite, pointing out how he always had different rules for himself than for everyone else. The powerful god just stood there, frozen. He definitely wasn't expecting her to show up out of nowhere and start blaming him for something. For a second, he couldn't even react. He was just caught off guard, trying to process what was happening. Right now, the fire god can't help but laugh, finding this old memory kind of interesting. Back in the past, the ice god got ready to face his student, who was obviously annoyed. He knew he had some explaining to do, and it wouldn't be easy. Even though he was powerful, dealing with someone's anger wasn't exactly his strong suit. Still, he braced himself, hoping his student would at least hear him out. Back when he was a student, he remembered a time he reported one of his classmates just because he was jealous. He almost got that classmate's favorite monster pet killed. He couldn't shake off the guilt, so he started looking out for the creature whenever he could. No one else knew about it. He just kept checking up, making sure it was safe, and had what it needed out there in the wild. He went around freezing other monsters in the wild, just to make sure nothing could hurt the creature. The ice god owned up to what he'd done, saying this was how he was trying to make things right. He promised he'd bring back his pet. Sue starts to notice that this twist in the story didn't come from him. Instead, it just happened on its own, like the characters made the choice without his help. The ice god wasn't some evil mastermind. He messed up, sure, but deep down, he was just a regular guy with problems like anyone else. Even if things had gone differently, he probably would try to make things right on his own. He thinks about how making a character do things they wouldn't normally do just messes up the whole story, kind of like turning it into a puppet show. He figures his editor never really got that point. The fire god finally realized that his rival had been looking out for his pet the whole time, even when it seemed like they were just competing. Princess freezes when it hits her that her master's story was actually about the fire god. For a moment, her mind races, trying to piece everything together. She stares at the huge, terrifying creature, realizing what really happened before. Everything she thought she knew about the past suddenly makes sense, and it hits her hard. The fire god keeps thinking about why his rival hid this secret for so long. If he'd just known the truth, maybe all that anger between them could have ended a long time ago. It's weird to think how different things might have been if his rival had just been honest. Steps up confidently, acting like the fire god already gets what's going on. The fire god finally comes clean with himself. His rival was never simple. That guy always had something going on, never just saying things straight out. Princess stands there, totally confused, trying to figure out if the fight is even still going on. Keeps his cool and lets everyone know that what happens next is all on the fire god. He doesn't seem stressed or anything, just waits to see what move the fire god will make. Once the truth came out, the god just gave up, looking like he didn't even want to keep going. He let them know things weren't going to end well for anyone. The vanguard doesn't really get why the fighting suddenly stops. Everyone's looking around, confused. Still, one guy in the squad shrugs and just reminds the others that at least nobody's shooting at them right now. Nobody really wanted to mess with Chirpy. The thought of dealing with that tiny terror made everyone think twice. Snaps back to reality, remembering why they're here in the first place. She starts thinking about the boss item they need to find on this floor. Points at the fire core, letting everyone know it's already in their hands. Looks like the move he pulled earlier ended up working out better than anyone expected. Right when it seemed like nothing else could happen, a huge black monolith pushed its way up from the ground. It stood there, tall and solid, making it pretty obvious where everyone was supposed to go next. The fire god points out that the door's color means death is waiting on the other side. He makes it clear there's no turning back, pushing everyone to move forward whether they want to or not. The fire god handed over the fire core to Princess. No one saw it coming. It was the last thing anyone expected. He lets them know that the lantern's different now. It carries half of his original fire spirit inside. That flame isn't going out no matter what. Just stands there, not really sure what's going on. He can't figure out why someone would suddenly do something so generous for him. It's not something he's used to, and he keeps running it over in his head, trying to make sense of it. He says he's just paying back what he owes the ice god, then turns his back and leaves the others to deal with whatever happens next. Princess and stood there, quietly watching as he walked away. Neither of them tried to stop him. Both seemed to accept that things were different now, and even though the situation was a bit awkward, they were willing to let this weird peace stay, at least for now.
Lately, I've had a strong addiction to watching manhwa and manga recap videos. Every single day, I find myself binging one after another, losing hours and days doing absolutely nothing productive. And honestly, it's getting out of hand. So, maybe we can make these viral videos too. I mean, look at the views, the growth, the community these creators are building. It looks simple, right? But that's a trap. You go down this endless rabbit hole, spending money, losing sleep, hiring editors and writers from Fiverr and Upwork, and still feel like you've been robbed. Because don't forget how emotional the YouTube algorithm can be with making videos go viral. It's unpredictable, especially when the market's saturated, competition's relentless, and somehow other creators are dropping 10-hour videos daily while you're stuck trying to finish one. That's when I realized something had to change. So, I built the solution, the Web2 Narrative Suite, a complete one-click system that handles everything from cropping, script narration, text-to-speech, image processing, and full video generation in one smooth process. Save money, reduce hours of work, and have a tool that only gives you straight results. Click on the link down below and experience it for yourself. And if you want even more tools to supercharge your YouTube recap journey, visit my Ko-Fi and Patreon pages where I drop weekly new tools designed to keep you ahead as AI continues to steal our jobs. So tap in now before you get left behind.